I've been a devout Christian. I've been a staunch atheist. I've been a Buddhist. I've been a Taoist. I've been a polytheist.
I would like to point out that the religions that we know least about are the ones getting pushed near the top.
They're neat. Yeah, because the more we know about, the more we're like, this sucks. I hate this shit.
How you feel naturally isn't accepted morally. You kind of have to look like what religions kind of fit this aspect of who I am.
This is a simple question, I suppose, but one that actually is fairly profound for all of us in our lives. What, if anything, would ever change your mind?
Well, the answer to that question is
Hi everybody, welcome to Shot Takes. We're on episode 10, and today we have a returning guest, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, Alex. We got an exciting episode for you tonight. We got these new shot roulette things that we designed. You want to do the main camera for this? We're going to. I made this from a Lazy Susan, and this wooden board that looks like a shot, like a revolver on the top, and theoretically, we should be able to spin it and all this alcohol not fall out of it and do some random shots. So that should be a fun mechanic for the show moving forward. Tonight, we're going to be going over religion and things in that spectrum of stuff, spirituality. So that should be pretty exciting. Go over some of Alex's beliefs. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to go over some YouTube comments from the prior episode Alex was here for in relation to LGBT topics and concerns. So without further ado, Alex, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the show.
Hello. I have a lot of different stuff related to religion. I've been involved in different religions for my entire life. So it's a very interesting topic in terms of how everything relates to one another and how people relate to one another. And just my own history with it has very close to my heart.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we're definitely going to give you an opportunity to talk about that stuff. So we can go and get into the first shot and the first question if you're ready,
Sure.
Dave.
Sounds good. So go ahead and tee up our first shot here.
So we have a few ways to do this. The first way is that you spin it, and whatever it lands on, we drink that. Or we just both spin it, and then whatever it lands on, we drink different drinks. So what would you think what you want to do? Would you rather we drink the same thing or it's different things?
I mean, I feel like it makes more sense if we would have the same drink, but also I think it's just funny for us to just both spin it and then get whatever we get.
Okay. So whatever shot lands closest to your person, that's what we'll go with. And then you want to do the first question wherever we get it? Let's go to the spin.
Yep. All right, so question number 1. What is your religious journey, and how much does nature versus nurture ultimately affect someone's religious beliefs? So first part is, what is your religious journey?
This was the fireball for me. What did you get?
I mean, I don't know what that is, but it's not Fireball. I can tell you that much. It tastes familiar. I've had it before.
Okay, I think that this was the Jaeger cold brew coffee, if I had to guess. But yeah, what's your background? I know that you're you're non-gender conforming, or you're gender fluid, I guess is the
Yeah, either works.
how has that affected your background and religion? Do you think that played a big role in your decision of whether or not you're religious? So you think that you'd be spiritual regardless of your sexuality? Or
I would still be spiritual, but it definitely it did have an impact on different things growing up. So growing up, I was not raised in a particular religion, but I was raised around religion.
Okay. And what religion was that?
Christianity as a whole. So on my mother's side, my grandmother, their family, very devout Catholics. So I grew up around that. My mother was not a devout Catholic.
Okay.
She was a Christian, but she grew up devout Catholic, and then she later became a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, really?
And actually went around and did that. That was before I was born.
Is that actually knocking on the
Yes.
doors and everything?
She had them come to her house, and then she ended up joining them, and then she went through the whole process of being initiated, and then she went around and went door to door. And I'm not sure how long she did that for, but once she got out of that, she eventually started questioning things a bit more. She still believed that there was a God, but she didn't know exactly what denomination to follow or what. But I grew up with basically that God was real, but different sort of voices of what that meant. On my dad's side, he's a very staunch atheist. So he didn't talk a ton about it. It wasn't like he was constantly on me about it, but it was like if it came up, he would laugh about it and, be like, that's not a thing. But his family is religious. His dad actually was excommunicated from his church.
Excommunicado.
Because...
Was he John Wick?
So I can't remember if he was Protestant or my grandmother was Protestant, but basically... You can't back then, and still in some denominations, you can't marry outside of your denomination.
Oh, okay.
And so the way I believe it went is my grandmother is Catholic, but he was Protestant, and he wanted to marry her, and they were like, "No, you can't do that." And he said, "Fuck you," and got excommunicated, converted to her religion, and they got married. So he grew up in religion, but he just doesn't follow any of that. So I was getting kind of both sides of the aisle, but growing up in America, you kind of hear Christianity all the time. So it was something that was like, I was aware of and I was very afraid of.
Yeah.
Even though my grandparents were very nice Christians, my grandmother actually, on my mother's side, despite being a devout Catholic, actually ended up leaving her church after some time because she didn't agree with how oppressive it was getting, I guess would be.
Oppressive, that's an interesting way to define it.
I was trying to think of she's very loving, she's very open, she's very accepting of people, and she didn't like how the church was saying how we shouldn't treat certain people and who was welcome and wasn't welcome in the church. She didn't agree with that. So she was still a Catholic, she still believed in this, but she didn't agree with how the church was running. And so I grew up with that, and I grew up with hearing things, and that made me very self-conscious about every little thing that I did, because I was told that this person in the sky sees you 24/7 and you can just burn in hell if he doesn't like what you do. So just like any tiny thing I would do, I would freak out. I also had some very traumatic experiences, but that could go on a whole nother tangent, and I don't know if we want to go there.
Yeah. So, do you think if it wasn't the fear aspect of it, do you think that you'd be more accepting into being religious in the Catholic sense of the term?
Yeah. A big thing for me is that throughout, so I've identified as different things, but just to stay on the Christian thing for tangent's sake, right. I've wanted to go back to church for a very long time, for my own journey of just, I guess, feeling like I have a community, but I haven't been able to do that because I'm constantly afraid of how people are going to perceive me. And I feel like I have to do tons of research into what church I join and what the people are going to be like, because are they going to be okay with me being there? Are they going to be uncomfortable? I went to Ash Wednesday Mass for the first time this year, and I could tell based on how some people were responding to me or not responding to me that they had opinions about me despite never speaking to me before, and it just made me not want to be there. And that's the only thing that's keeping me from exploring those parts of religion that I'd like to explore.
I think that there are churches out there that are very, not to say that churches aren't accepting, a lot of, it's going to depend on what church you go to, right? And what their audience there, I guess you could say, is going to be like. Especially living where we live, it's not the most, I guess free, not necessarily free thinking. It's a very conservative area. So that definitely plays a role into it. And just for the audience, people watching at home, we're trying to talk about religion in a mature adult sense. We're going over Alex's experiences. It's not to discount anything that you believe in, by any means. We're just looking at it from an unbiased or our own personal standpoints, and nothing that we say tonight is meant to be taken out of context. We're just trying to have a fun discussion about it and learn more about what Alex has gone through in order to choose her spiritual path. So. But yeah. So where are you at now with religion, aside from going to that recent Ash Wednesday?
I've kind of at this point, I guess, curated my own sort of belief system. I guess because like you asked me in the beginning of whether I would still be spiritual if I didn't have these things. That yes, I would be. I've always felt this sort of call or presence that some people talk about when they say they decide to become a pastor or something. They feel like they've been called to do it. Mm-hmm. I have that sort of feeling, and I've always had that despite when I've gone through different religions and different periods of my life, that I've always felt that and always come back to it. And so at this point, I feel like I've gone through enough of the cycling between different things to just come to my own sort of, these are the things that I believe in. I might not have a specific doctrine that I follow, but this is what feels right to me.
Okay, you think feeling right is a big part of it. So would you be opposed to following a religion if it didn't feel right, but it was arguably correct?
I guess it depends on. So something that is in the Bible, for instance, let's just say for argument's sake that the Bible is 100% correct. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that happen that make me not want to follow the God that's presented. Mm-hmm. So even if it's 100% correct, it doesn't necessarily mean that I would agree with, wanting to follow it, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it kind of depends on what it being right means.
Yeah. And what would being right for you mean then? Like what is that? What does that fall? Does it have to be like a good afterlife? Does it have to be like something that makes moral conscience sense, or does it have to make logical sense or spiritual sense to you? Like, or what does that look like for you? What do you want from like an afterlife? And is religion solely about the afterlife?
I think most religion is about fear. It's about people not knowing. Not necessarily the afterlife, but just things in general. It's why we have different, older religions had beliefs about different sun gods and different things. And it's because we didn't know what was going on. And the more we learned about it, the less we started believing in certain things.
When are you getting crazy? You could bring the sun back out here. We need to get these crumbs going. We're starving right now.
And so it's, for me, the things that I believe in are not necessarily the most happy things for me. The thing that I feel right, that I feel like in my ideas of things is what feels right in the sense of like what could be happening is not what I actually want for an afterlife. Yeah. But it's just what I have, like, what I believe in, I guess. It's what I believe happens, but it might not be exactly what I like, but that's just how it is. Mm-hmm.
Now, what about I know that religion in a sense, like, especially here in America, I do think that specifically like Catholicism and Christianity has a lot of good ties for keeping people not necessarily like mentally occupied, but like making them a part of a group. Like you mentioned, feeling like you weren't a part of that group whenever you walked into the church and they kind of ignored you or, gave you looks or whatever else. I think that having that group is a good thing for society, especially as things progress technologically. We're becoming more disconnected from each other. How much does that play into it for you? Would you be willing to set aside some of your personal beliefs to still become a part of a group, or?
I mean, I think that's true. That could be true for anything. It doesn't have to be religion. I mean, there's friend groups that I might not agree with every person there, but like we have a common ground that we're there for. So, I mean, I think that can be true for any type of group. Religion's just one that tends to call people because for a lot of people, it answers questions that they might have hang-ups about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see you brought here this Bible, as you called it. So did you print this whole thing yourself?
No, this is the
you want to show the cameras?
Yep.
So this is the King James version of the Christian Bible, Standard Bible. This is my newest study Bible. So I have another King James version Bible, which I've gone through and read. I have not completely finished it, but I have.
Very long book.
Yeah, well, I finished most of it. I've finished probably up to this point.
Okay.
I finished the entire Old Testament, working on the New Testament. And I made a lot of different notes as I was going, and I wanted to organize it a bit more. So this is my newest one with a bit more organization to it. So these
So you went to your old book and kind of found the spots and marked it up.
And then it has a bunch of different markings and things in for different spots and different things that I think are notable or important.
Yeah, Alex just put all these bookmarks in randomly and then went through with a highlighter and marked everything for the show. Now,
Yeah.
it's awesome that you read through this book in all seriousness. I cannot say the same. I watched the HBO series of the Bible and called it a day.
So I wanted this just to show that I'm not just speaking out of my ass here. Like, I have some experience. I'm not saying that I am the word of the Bible, that you should listen to me. I'm just saying that it's not like I just walked out and said I hate Christians or something. It's like I go through and I've studied things. I've been a devout Christian. I've been a staunch atheist. I've been a Buddhist. I've been a Taoist. I've been a polytheist. Like, I've gone through stuff my entire life. Like, this is not just something I woke up today and decided to do.
Right. So from your readings and from your notes here, what are some key standouts? Are there any favorite parts of the Bible that you most enjoy, like messages, or are there any parts that you dislike the most? Or
I mean, there are definitely things that are good, I guess you would say, and there are a lot of things that mostly that you find in the New Testament versus the Old Testament about bringing people together, caring for the sick, caring for the poor, those kind of things. There are, however, a lot of not so great things.
yeah.
And my thing with it has always, it's what I said before of even if this was 100% true and this was how it is, there are certain aspects that make me go, I don't care if this is the real God, he sucks. There's a lot of parts that are like that. And there are a lot of parts that aren't like that.
Yeah, I think as a baseline for just humanity, because I know a lot of laws, especially here in America, are based off of the Bible's morality and code and everything like that. I think for the most part, I mean, it's pretty good in terms of keeping humans at least functional, like humankind. But as we evolve as a society, we have more critical thinking of our morals. We have time to sit here and actually review this stuff as opposed to being out in the farmland tilling the soil and all that. It gives us a chance to really look at this stuff critically and determine whether or not it is moral. Some of the stuff in there. But you also you mentioned it briefly. You went through a bunch of different religions. You mentioned being a Taoist. What is a Taoist exactly?
It's in the same realm as Buddhism and Hinduism. It's an Eastern religion, and its main premise is sort of the yin-yang stuff of that there is balance of things, that there is a cycle to things, that everything sort of works in conjunction with things. Like, you can't have hot without cold, you can't have good without bad, that everything sort of comes in, and the goal is to basically follow the Tao, which means the way, and to sort of become part of that and to not allow yourself to become complicit in the sense that despite things are happening, you're not like, oh, well, because things are happening, I'm not going to do anything because it's just going to naturally happen, but to participate in it and sort of take life as it is and the trials that come with that.
Right.
There's a lot of different subsets and different things to it, but that's the very, very basic rundown of it.
I kind of like that. I like the idea religiously of stuff being circular and things happening it's what's going to happen is going to happen again. Like, history repeats itself, the universe repeats itself. I believe personally that I think the most logical way for the universe to exist is to expand and then contract on itself and then, explode again and just keep doing that over and over and over. Because that makes sense to me. Like, how else would a universe, would there be a beginning unless there was a creator, right? Like, it's either there is a creator or the universe has a circular existence.
I
in
mean,
my mind.
if you get down to my like very specific beliefs, not attached to specific accepted doctrines, but my own things, there is a cycle, there is a circular thing, but there also is a creator and a point to that circle.
Oh, so there is a creator in Taoism.
Not in Taoism, in my specific stuff. In Taoism, I don't believe Taoism takes some different things. Like some Taoists believe in reincarnation, some don't. So it takes a lot of different things, but the main thing is not a specific creator. It's just the way, which is just the movement of nature and the earth and things like that.
And how did you come about like this? It seems like such a random off-beaten path. Were you like studying and like trying to find something, or
one of my like only like out there classes I ever had that wasn't an elective was we had a world cultures class. It was just 1 year we had it, and they had a very short portion where we went over like a couple different religions, and the teacher had to specifically come out and be like, listen, we're not trying to change your beliefs, we're just going over like and it's like, guys,
hey, why not? I mean, like we at the beginning of every first period, right, you have to stand up, you have to put your hand over your heart and then give the pledge of allegiance, and basically assert your belief in God. And why not introduce these other things? And I think that's a benefit of being born not heterosexual, is that you get more of an open-minded view of the world, and it kind of forces you to think critically, because if how you feel naturally isn't accepted morally, you kind of have to look like what religions kind of fit this aspect of who I am, But yeah, that is interesting. History class, teachers putting up the YouTube videos and not full screen mode and half the screen. You gotta squint to see everything. But that's an interesting way to come about it. So, were you a Taoist in high school then, or were like when you were an adult then?
That class was in, I think it was 7th grade, so I wasn't even in full high school yet. And at that point, I was kind of teetering between just atheism and Buddhism, and then through that stumbled across Taoism, and then that's how I learned more about the yin-yang sort of thing. And it was kind of like this weird meshy time where I was just sort of dabbling in these different things. But at that time, I was edging more towards like Buddhism and that sort of thing. So more Eastern style religions.
Okay. Are there any other religions on that side of the world you would be privy to that you think might make sense? Because we often hear about the Western side of religion, and Europe included, I guess, with Christianity, Catholicism, even Muslim and Islam to that extent. But I know so very little, and I'm hoping to learn tonight about all these Eastern religions. Hopefully you can give me some clarity for that, because we have a tier list coming up later this episode. I'd like to know more about these other religions, because who knows, they could be right too.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to say. One of the religions that I sort of like, since my beliefs, again, aren't following a very specific doctrine, it's my own doctrine. One religion that I don't know a ton about it, but the very basics of it, it's called Baha'i. And it's basically...
Sounds like a Mortal Kombat move.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, at least. It's from the Middle East.
Okay.
And the base, there are additional things to it, but the very basics of it is that it believes that there is truth in all religions, and the main point is bringing people together and sort of having this connection between everyone, and that's the main point. The where I'm saying there's additional things, there's different offshoots of like them believing in certain prophets and messiahs and different things like that. They believe that someone came after Muhammad and things like that. But the very basics of it is that there is, again, truth in all religions, and that it wants to bring everyone together.
Yeah.
If I can jump in real quick, I think that's really interesting because, like, you said it developed out of the Middle East, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for that to come out of the Middle East, that's like where the Abrahamic religions come from.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where like Islam, Christianity, Judaism all share ties from the Abrahamic faith from the very beginning. So for Baha'i,
I believe that's how it's pronounced.
okay, for Baha'i to come out of that area geographically makes a lot of sense, you know? So
They actually, I'm pretty sure, were executed because of...
That's what they get for being a team player.
because I believe it was because they were basically saying that someone comes after Muhammad, and obviously...
yeah.
area not too happy about that.
Right.
But,
I do want to say too, we're at time for this question. So if we had any final thoughts, want to wrap up on or move on from here?
I'd like to hear what your background in religion is, Dave.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I grew up with Christian influences from my family. I started taking it very seriously around the age of like 11, 12 years old. Fully committed to discipleship after Jesus from like the ages of like 13 all the way up till 22, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And just kind of having some life experiences where things didn't quite pan out the way I thought it was supposed to. Not that the way I picture things is necessarily the truth or, God's plan or whatever.
Right.
But you still should have some inkling of what's going on. And for things to continuously fall flat over and over again, it's kind of like, what am I really doing, right? Like, am I going to do this my entire life? Or, am I going to make a call at some point that, maybe I chose the wrong thing? And pick up the pieces from there. So for me, at this point, I would categorize myself as disappointed agnostic.
I too am a disappointed agnostic.
yeah, I feel that.
But I will say, I remember the first time me and Dave met was actually at a lock-in for a church. I think it was his church.
Yep.
And I remember sitting there. I didn't go to church too much as a kid. I went really early as a kid. And I even really young, I was like not really like about the vibe spiritually, like I remember, I think I must have been like 7 or 8. And I came out of the church, I got my Fritos, my chocolate milk, and went back home. My grandfather asked me like, so what did you learn today at church? And like I asked him like, so if God can see everything in the future, if he's omnipotent, what does it matter if I make decisions? Do I actually have free will? Effectively, is what I said as a kid.
I asked my mom the same exact thing.
And then he said, "Well, you didn't learn the right thing at church today." I'm like, "Well, the way to give me an answer to that." So even at a young age, I just was not really about the vibe. But coming back to Dave, I remember the car ride back from a Dave and Buster's one day. We went to my buddy, I think it was Mike's birthday, and in the car, Dave was still religious at the time, and I was posing some of these poignant questions because he seemed like he really did believe at the time. And, he basically said, I'd have to get back to you on some of these answers. And clearly he didn't find those answers either.
Well, I think I did give a lot of the answers, at least from the perspective I could at that point in time. But with a lot of these questions, you're not going to find a satisfying answer. Ultimately, you have to make a matter of faith discussion, right? That's why the foundation of the majority of religion is always going to be faith. The righteous will live by faith, as the Bible says. Ultimately, you have to kind of just say, well, this is like 60%, this is like 40%. I'm probably gonna go with this one, So
Absolutely. Yeah. But we'll move on to the next question here.
Can I just add an addendum that I forgot to
Sure.
say? That when I say that I felt the call and stuff, I did actually intend to become a theologian and go to school for that. I didn't pan out. But I did intend to go through the entire process. That's what I'm saying about I'm not just talking out my ass. But I just wanted to add that little whip.
Fair. All right, well, let's go ahead and tee up shot numero dos.
Give it a good spin, Alex.
I need to spin it again because I kind of just wibbled it.
All right, this is working. This thing's working. I'm so happy with
It's
this.
very cool.
Can we get a full screen of it?
We already are.
Look how cool this thing is. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Come on, you guys gotta admit that's cool.
Give it one more spin, Tim. Give it one more cool spin.
One more, yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
All right, I gotta get back to the drink because this one was a good one, I think.
Well, I mean, half of them look the same, so I don't.
Oh, this is the one that. Okay, whenever you're ready on the question.
Okay. All right. So question numero dos is the big question for any believer, which is asking me to refer to a video link of a debate between Ken Ham and Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill Nye and Ken Ham. Ken Ham, we all know Bill Nye, science guy, all that stuff. Ken Ham
science guy
being
fame.
the Christian apologist.
Yeah. So Ken Ham is the leader at the time, at least. He was one of the preeminent leaders on what was it? It's like New Earth creationism. New Earth creationism.
Okay.
So he believes that all of our planet was created. As the Bible states, in the past 6,000 years and whatever else. He's like to the core, and he also runs in Australia, I believe. He runs the Ark exhibit. It's a recreation of the Ark. Pretty cool. even just for historical purposes of the Bible to recreate the whole arc. I think that's pretty cool. Bill Nye, I will be fair to Ken Ham's, like not sympathize, people that believe, in the Bible and all that. Bill Nye is not the best at bridging the gap logically. Like, he is very stoutly on one side of the aisle, and he is not willing to really meet people in the middle to kind of like, debate them. He's willing to come up here and debate, which he did a great job in this. But either case, I watched this video, I think 10 years ago, and there's a question here that I still use to this day for anybody who is willing to actually have an adult conversation about religion. And viewers at home, I want you to ask yourself this question too when you hear it. It's a very simple question, but a very good question if you want to go ahead and play it.
Mr. Ham, a new question. This is a simple question, I suppose, but one that actually is fairly profound for all of us in our lives. What, if anything, would ever change your mind?
Well, the answer to that question is, I'm a Christian. And as a Christian, I can't prove it to you, but God has definitely shown me very clearly through his word and shown himself in the person of Jesus Christ.
You can pause it here.
The word of God. I admit that.
So look how long that took him to answer. Like, for me, like, what would it take for me to be religious? I could name like a gajillion things, right? Like, why is it that hard for somebody who 100% agrees in something to have any kind of breaking point? Like, do you think you just get kind of stuck in that loop of like, I'm on one side of the argument and I am refusing to go to the other side, Like, but what are you going to say? Sorry.
I think with how you started by saying that Bill Nye feels like he's very stuck in his position, he's having trouble bridging that middle gap.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is. You can't win an argument against someone who believes that their proof is that the Bible exists. That's it. That's his proof. He's saying, we haven't watched the full thing, but he's saying, what can change your mind? And his answer is, well, it's already been proven to me. So there is nothing that can change my mind, because he's saying, I believe because he came in the form of Jesus Christ, and that's how he showed that he existed. But it's like, okay, but you weren't there. Like, you read a book that says it happened, but like, you weren't there. I don't understand how that to you proves the point. Yeah. Even as someone who is spiritual and is religious, like, it's still to me, like, even in my beliefs, I still would say I identify like in the realm of agnostic, because I still believe there's always a possibility that it's not true or it is true. I don't definitively say this is 100% how it is. That's a strange concept to me.
Yeah, I would say part of that is him making his admission too, right? Like, he's saying, I am a Christian. So in a way, it's like him choosing an identity, like, it's an active choice in that moment. It's not like well, let me weigh this 60% today and this 40%, and I guess I'll keep going this way. It's like a identity in his mind that he is stuck in and going to be,
I don't know, obviously, what it is in his head, but part of it, I think, that can come with being Christian is having that faith aspect that in the Bible, sometimes just not having that question can be what sends you to hell. And so somebody's saying like, well, what would change your mind? And they're like, well, I can't say anything would change my mind, because that would suggest, like
a lack of faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that could scare him.
I don't know if I agree with that from a religious. I'm trying to be as fair as I can to the religious aspect of it. I think that most religious people are still questioning, even though they just still choose to believe. But when you're in a position like him, if you have any doubt whatsoever, that could have such a big cascading effect.
Oh, absolutely.
And, he's supposed to be the preeminent expert. He's supposed to be the person that can come and argue on this stage at these things. And of all the questions from this 2-hour video that they have on here, the one question for the audience, that simple question is enough to really just stump him, in my opinion. I mean, he gave an answer, but it was kind of just like a, beat around the bush type. You know?
I'm just saying that can be an aspect for some people, that they don't even want to suggest that they have a question, even if they, like, yes, I'm sure a lot of people question it, but depending on how you were raised in Christianity or any other religion, just having that question could make you afraid. Like I said, I grew up very afraid, and I wasn't even someone who was, again, like taught a very specific religion. I was just hearing religion around me, and I was afraid of every little tiny thing that I would do, that would be what would, condemn me. And so for some people, I'm not saying that's his position, I don't know, but for some people, just like suggesting that they might have a question might scare them.
Absolutely.
Especially as an apologist, he's supposed to be a champion of the faith, so it's really hard for him to sit there and say, like, there's a crack somewhere, because that's going to put his whole position in compromise.
Yeah, and also what you were saying about that identity of being a Christian, like, leaving an identity is very hard. If this has been what you have defined yourself as, especially if you've gotten to his point of, being on these programs and stuff, it's hard to be like, to decide to leave that. Yeah. Even for me, like when I've had like mental health things, and I've gotten enraptured in these pockets of the internet, and I've been like, this is my identity. I am this. And then when I started getting therapy and stuff, it was terrifying, because it was like, well, now I have to find who I am, instead of just being this specific thing.
So quick side note, I read through almost every single comment on the YouTube things, and I can tell who's trolling, who's not trolling. But we have a new subscriber, and I do take all the feedback I get very seriously. I'm trying my best not to interrupt. Hopefully I don't feel like I'm interrupting you. I do want to have a fluid conversation. I'm trying to get better at doing the interview thing. So sorry if I ever interrupt you too much. I get really amped up, and I want to.
I've got like I said, I always am like, I gotta put another thing in. Like, hold on a second. So you're good.
But I appreciate every single subscriber that we have. I hope that a lot of the people watching this video are returning subscribers. Those are the ones that I really want to keep around. Some people click on this video and then move on to the next TikTok thing and completely forget we existed. But the people who actually want to have a discussion and listen to this, these are the people I'm trying to keep around, who actually are invested in what we talk about. So. But what else did I have underneath this video here?
Yeah, so under this, we did have as a talking point belief in the flood argument, and that the world is about 4,000 to 6,000 years old.
So I mean, I rewatched most of this thing with a modern lens. This is a pretty old video; it's like 10 years old, but a lot of the points still stand in terms of evidentiary wise. There is a running theory now with like the Younger Dryas. I don't know if you've heard about this, and like basically the flood coming from the Ice Age effectively is what the speculation is, and that's where this flood comes in, like biblical tales and everything like that. Do you believe that there was a flood?
Well, it depends on how much you want to get into like all of the, I guess, specifics of my own beliefs. Because, like I said about the Baha'i, I believe that there is truth in all religions. And my thought process, I guess, on the Bible specifically, and so the flood and those sort of things, is that there's truth to the different things, but the way they are told might not be exactly how things happened, I guess would be the way to put it. Mm-hmm. That the biblical God does exist, but he might embellish some things here and there. And I also, like I said, I believe in there being cycles to things. So I believe that things happen repeatedly. And so, an Ice Age flood could also have been the biblical flood at some point, but then we had a cycle and things reset, and then it was a different point, those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. So the idea to me that like the New Age or the New World Theory, whatever it's called, I wouldn't say that the Earth is currently, 4,000 years old, whatever it is in the Bible, but that these things did happen, just maybe not in the same timeline, I guess. Like timelines sort of in my things, they stack, they repeat, they go. So things can happen, but not necessarily in the timeline that we're in. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. It's just one of those things where I just wanted to get somebody else's opinion on it. Because I don't know whether or not all this stuff exists. Obviously, I can look at all these resources, I can watch all these podcasts, but like I don't know whether or not, you know, like I'm just listening to some person talk at the end of the day. So, it's always interesting to get what other people physically think.
So we have just a minute or two left on this question, but one part that is a harken back to the first episode Alex was with us on is, what is eternal happiness? We were talking about heaven and things like that. So did we want to talk about what
Sure. I mean,
qualifies as such?
Yeah, I mean, like eternal happiness comes back in people's minds of like heaven's always supposed to be this like happy, you know, place. Like what is like eternal happiness really? Like what could you do for all of eternity that would really entertain you, for one? You know, what could keep you mentally sane for all eternity if there was a heaven?
Because I mean, I said at some point that like my own beliefs, like that's not even what I would want in an afterlife, but that's just how I think it is. A part of that is that I don't think that there's any form of an afterlife that I can see myself being happy with.
Yeah.
It would highly depend on the situation. Because there's things that like, if I think about my current life, that like what things would make me happy in my current life, that, yeah, that's great and all, but it depends on the circumstances. Because for me, if I know that like say that heaven is your own, like each person's heaven is personal. Do I know that? Do I know that I'm dead and I'm in heaven and that I'm having these things given to me because I'm in heaven? Or am I just there? Because to me, that would change how I perceive what's happening. Like I don't think I would be happy knowing that what's happening around me is happening because I'm dead and they're just kind of giving me what they think will make me happy.
Right.
Can I throw a wrench in that real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, if it's eternity, wouldn't that be more alive than you are right now? At some point, think about infinity stretching on forever. This chunk of your life becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until it's almost like it never existed.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here, this is a wrench, but it's a me specific wrench.
Okay.
I have really bad memory problems, so every moment is like a brand new life.
That's amazing.
Like I don't remember what happened like an hour ago.
So wouldn't eternity appeal to you more?
Again, it's that sort of thing of knowing why I'm there and what's happening.
You're like Dory from Finding Nemo.
Kinda,
Yeah, but it's not like really being dead though. Like it's more like you were in a womb for 70 some years of your life, and now you're in your true form, which is eternal.
It's kind of, it's a hard thing to explain, because I think the reason that I have this idea, and this is gonna be like going in my like past. So I used to be really into fan fiction.
Sonic and Shadow? Yowie?
No, this was Hetalia.
Oh,
yeah, I was
Hetalia.
into that.
That's the country one, right?
Yeah.
All the different anime characters are different countries.
I'm lost. I'm sorry.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it was. But basically, I was
Italia, please.
okay. I was really into fan fiction, and there was this one that I read where it was, a pairing, and one of them was a ghost. And it was about basically trying to figure out what it was that was keeping him tied to Earth and allowing him to move on to the afterlife, or his proper afterlife, move on from Earth. And it never got finished, so it never ended. But there was an idea that I had of it ending where the one character moves on and he goes to this paradise, and it ends up being that the paradise is being in that same position he was in, of living with this other person as a ghost. And there was a question that I had as an idea of how it would end, where he would go, is this have I moved on? And basically having that sort of thing of that fear of being like, am I actually with this person, or have I moved on and now I'm just in this fake existence with them?
Simulation.
Yes.
You're afraid of being trapped in a simulation.
Sort of, yeah. And so that's sort of where it comes from for me, is this like made up ending that I had for this fan fiction of just how I would feel being in that situation where I'm questioning, am I actually happy, or is this, like I said, a simulation of just a fake existence?
That's a very interesting point.
And that doesn't feel fun for me.
I'm still hung up on just what Dave was saying earlier about like you living this very small percentage of your total existence, and I've thought about this before, but I just bring it up one more time. why is that? Why is it even like, in my mind, it's not logical whatsoever that what you do in a fraction of a percent of your existence affects the rest of eternity. No matter, like, I don't think the matter, because you would think of how much you change in 10 years. That's what you do with 10,000, 10 million. Like, you can't even quantify what 10 million is. But if it's eternity, that's an unquantifiable amount of time to be dictated by a blink in the eye of your life, you know?
My guy.
Your existence.
A week is an insurmountable amount of time for me. I like every single, listen, you gotta understand, I got mental health problems that specifically affect how I respond to like emotions in different situations and how I feel situations. And then you add on memory problems to that. And every moment feels like the only moment in my life, because for me, not being able to quantify how time moves, not being able to understand that because of the issues that I have, makes it feel like this is a make or break moment for me, that this is the worst feeling I've ever had in the world, because that's what I'm feeling in the moment. And that's the only thing that matters, is that's what I'm feeling. Like, I can remember, like, I have an idea of what happened an hour ago, but it feels like in my mind, like how you would probably remember something that happened 10 years ago, that it's there, but it's fuzzy. And it's like, you can sort of get it, but you might miss little details.
I kind of feel like that now. It's like, I feel like I'm piloting a meat mech sometimes, you know, like I kind of, you know, like whenever people go through like a traumatic experience, they feel like they had an outer, they were like, not like, they were just moving. They weren't actually physically there, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I got dissociation problems. I've got PTSD.
Oh no. All right, let's get to
Cues up fortunate son.
right, let's do the next question.
All right, moving on. Let's get that shot roulette going there.
Yeah, let's get the spin in. You ready? I wanted to give it a good spin to make sure it can handle it.
Jeez,
it all
oh,
stays
man.
in there. It all stays in there. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm like, I don't want to hit it too hard. And then it
it's doing a good job. It's holding up.
Tim's just letting it rip.
And I want to make sure it works for the future.
All right, question number 3. Are people who profit from mega churches like Kenneth Copeland morally corrupt when donations are freely given? And we have a video companion for this.
Copeland, I think.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's Copeland.
Yeah. So,
Every circle I've been in has said Copeland.
all right,
Isn't there an E in there?
There is, but they've always
Again,
said
getting back
Oh
to
man, love this video.
We'll just watch the highlight of it. It's just a topical thing that happened recently, and
Look at
it's
that
related
hand
to our
position.
Yeah, that's a hand dominance.
Yeah.
All right, turning it
This
on.
whole video is a dominance play.
So this is
the
4 years
comment.
old, by the way,
You
but
said
it
that you don't like
resurged.
the fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
Can you explain what you meant by that term then? Just explain, because it's really simple. You said
You
you,
wanna
didn't
pause it
want to
real
get
quick?
into a tube with a bunch.
So Kenneth Copeland, for people who don't know, he's the leader of one of those mega churches. He
He is the richest pastor in the world.
He's the richest pastor in the world. And what was the question again? What was the specifics of the question?
She was asking what he meant by a quote where
no,
he said,
sorry, our question.
our question is, are people who profit from mega churches like Kenneth Copeland morally corrupt when donations are freely given?
Yeah, so he makes money off the church, but people give him this money willingly.
He's also a televangelist, not just a mega church.
Televangelist, yes. Do you think that this is moral for him to do if people are willing to give him money?
No,
No, why is that?
because of the way that they encourage donations. They oftentimes, I have not watched his specific sermon, so I cannot say specifically, but considering he's the richest pastor, I assume, is that it's very well known that they tend to use a lot of emotional manipulation when it comes to that. They tend to, okay, so think about back early Catholic, before Protestants existed. Oops, they had indulgences where you would pay money and they would wash away your sin. And that's how they would make their money.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and
that,
that's how
actually.
Martin Luther came and the Protestant Revolution happened. Because he recognized they are using people's fear of going to hell in order to make money. And that's what televangelists tend to do. They tend to be like, we will give you a forgiveness. We'll do this for you. We will, they might not say it to that degree because they don't want to get called out, but they will tend to do dancing around sort of things to encourage people to send their money.
The dancing around would be sow a seed of faith. I know you only have $100, Carol, you 87-year-old Social Security grandma, but if you take that $100 and you give it back to our ministry for God,
Dividends.
He'll make it pay back 1,000-fold.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thing. If he's correct, why is it wrong? Is he going to go to heaven? If he's correct, he goes to heaven, correct? So like, well, what does it matter?
Well,
if money doesn't matter in our society, if religion's correct, all that matters is your belief in God.
That's because it depends on how you're interpreting the Bible. That's where different denominations come from. Mm-hmm. So he follows, what's it called? Prosperity gospel, which believes that you are given riches based on basically whether God likes you or not. That the more God loves and likes you, the more money that you will get. And that's how he, justifies him having a mansion and stuff like this and making all this money and having multiple airplanes and stuff. That he's basically like, well, it says that he gives riches to the people that follow him, so obviously he really likes me. But then there's also parts of the Bible that say that you should not be hoarding wealth and you should be giving to poor and you should be doing these things. So it very much depends on what part you're reading.
Yeah. The Bible would also say Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. No, not Sermon on the Mount. Either way, he said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to go to heaven. When he told a rich young man to sell everything to come and follow him. And of course he didn't. He walked away sad. He had to sell everything. But to Alex's point, that depends on where you're reading, right? Mm-hmm. So
that's actually, I don't know if we're going to get to that, but that was something that if we did get to certain, I guess it would come up probably when we get to the comments about like when people like to cherry pick certain laws or not laws, but like different verses and when they like to apply them and when they don't like to apply them and different things like that. That's the same thing with things like mega churches and, well, not specifically mega churches, but those that hoard money.
Yeah.
I still have a hard time just like wrestling the thought that like, even if I live a morally conscious life, right? He believes in God, and by most accounts of religion, he will likely enter heaven if God does exist, right? Is it fair for him to be able to enter heaven, living a life where he does this to people, but he believes in God, whereas I don't, even if I do live a morally conscious life?
Well, I don't know that he does believe in God. It's very common for people to use God to make money or do other reprehensible things. And they might not actually even care. They just know that this gets money. That's how a lot of cult leaders are. They don't necessarily believe in what they're saying, but they know that they get, praise or money out of it. Am I saying he doesn't? No, I don't know. I'm not in his private life, but it's not guaranteed that he actually does fully have these beliefs.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard to contest. I mean, even if you don't. Sorry, go ahead.
You need to be specific with what we're talking about ending up being the truth, right? Like, let's say somehow the deformed version of the Bible that the prosperity gospel holds up is true, then yeah, I guess he just does well, right? But like, if you're reading the Bible as a whole, even Christians are still going to be held accountable for what they do or don't do, even though the evangelical point of view would be that you're saved by faith and faith alone. There's still consequences when you get to heaven, depending on whatever happens.
Do you think there's a hierarchy of happiness?
There's a lot of theories.
No, I just like the term, that's all.
Hierarchy of happiness.
I'm not laughing at the idea, just that's a fun name.
Yeah.
HOH.
Is
there an HOH plan in heaven?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, post-revelation Christians that believe there's like this crazy sci-fi universe where like different people get different planets or in different parts of God's throne room based off of different things. But, none of it's really written out in the Bible in a way that you would probably be looking for. But regardless, people are still being held accountable according to certain sects of Christianity. So really the only way you're going to find a satisfying answer to your question of is it fair for him to be able to still go to heaven it really depends on what ends up being the truth. You know.
Oh,
And
very daunting questions.
Let me pose this question:
Go ahead.
if you're not the creator of the universe, is it fair for you to say what's fair and what's not?
If I'm not the creator of the universe,
Right.
I mean, all I can really do is assign morals based off of what I think is either good or bad for people. And that's very subjective, what good and bad is. In the aspect of Christianity, Catholicism, being good, moral, it's aligned with believing in God. So it's very hard to kind of combat that. So I don't know. I mean, like, I wish, I don't think I'm smart enough to design what the universe's moral code should be. I just think it should make sense. You know?
So there was this thing that I read. It was like a short story that I read in, like 9th grade English or something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was very interesting to me, where it was about what happens when you die. And it was about that when you go before God. So in different sects, different denominations, they believe different things about how heaven works and how God works. And one of the things that this short story focused on was that when you die, you went before a trial of humans, because
That sounds horrible.
because it was basically like going to a court, like a normal court, because God said that because I know everything about you, I know why you've made every decision that you've made, I know why you've ended up where you have, and I cannot judge you fairly because of that, because I can fully understand why you've done what you've done. And so it's up to your peers to judge you and decide whether you get to go to heaven or hell, because he, as an omnipotent being, can't decide that. He can't, because he understands you. He understands everything. It's like, he's like, well, based on what I understand from you, I'd make the same decision. So like, I can't say whether that was right.
Yeah, how many times do you think it just went the other way of what God would have decided? Is like, well,
Yeah.
shit, I wouldn't have chosen
I'm
that.
pretty
They really
sure in
like
the
that guy.
I wish I could find the story. I'm pretty sure the guy ended up going to hell. Like, they were like, nah, get this guy out of here. And God's like, my bad, dude. I don't know.
Plot twist: the person was Hitler. I understand where you're coming from, Hitler,
Yeah,
but these
like-
guys, it's a jury of all Jewish people.
Yeah, I mean, I sent Jesus out there, like, put my soul out there, and then, of course, you're gonna kill them. Like, what? No,
What if I get judged and
don't
by
take
like,
that out of context.
what if I get judged by like Mesopotamian people? They have no idea what a fucking Xbox is, and all the curse words I'm slinging out at people on Call of Duty when I'm 10 years old.
No, it was okay to send the N-word. I swear.
Yeah, but, hey, back then the N-word didn't exist. They're just like whatever. So they look at some complete racist. It's like spewing the N-word everywhere, and ostracizing people, whatever else.
like, this dude's great.
Yeah, he really likes it. His cut.
I mean, I assume it worked like how like angels work, where they just like telepathically like communicate. They don't need to know language.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they know language, but you know what I mean. It's just like
A tribunal.
bushes can talk. Like,
Bushes can talk.
I wonder like how far off like our moral systems today are from like people back in the past though. Oh, I wanted to talk about the I completely forgot. We were talking about Kenneth Copeland.
We were.
With taxation on churches. I wanted to bring this up in a little tidbit. They don't get taxed, and I will immediately, because I am trying my hardest to be unbiased as I can in critical thinking. Some churches are not profitable, and they need as much donations and stuff like they can from their local communities. So I'm totally fine with that. But after you reach a certain point, do you think that they should be taxed? Or, and to that, when does a religion become well known enough to be untaxable as an establishment?
I think so. Churches fall under the category of, nonprofit organizations, that they provide a service to others, and their goal is not to make a profit. So my way around that would be like, okay, so are they making a profit, or are they maintaining what they're doing? If they're barely holding the doors open, no, I don't think they should be taxed. But if they're Kenneth Copeland and have a $36 million house or whatever it is, it's like, I feel like he should maybe be taxed, because that property, as being the pastor's house, doesn't get taxed. Like,
Oh, the property doesn't either.
Depends on how they class it.
Yes, it depends on how it's
But
classed.
Alex is correct. Yeah.
Is there any way you can look it up? I don't want to just like steal
So, yeah,
information. If you
because
can't
of-
find it, it's fine.
Going off of how it was for certain churches I've been a part of, if it's a mission house or you categorize that as part of church property, it's not taxable.
Yes.
But I'm going to look it up right now.
So if he has like a sermon there once every a couple months, he's good.
No,
a
just
lot
housing missionaries.
Yeah, a lot of churches have a separate housing for the pastor or other people that work in the church.
Why do you think he needs such a big house?
No, he doesn't. That's the point.
mean,
He has
it-
multiple airplanes because he doesn't want to ride with demons on the commercial plane.
To be fair, people can't be. In his defense, he cannot be held accountable for every single thing he says.
Oh,
but
no.
that speaks of his inner workings of his mind, of how he genuinely feels about going on a plane with the commoners.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I was going to say. He's like, these people are poor. And that's what I mean about the whole, Bible thing about like, you're supposed to care about the poor. Like, even if you're rich, you're still supposed to care about them,
Yeah, it's funny.
Even
So is this dude's place taxed? I'm
Luxurious
curious.
1 acre parsonages,
Parsonage.
that's connected
Close
to the
enough. You
church.
can blame it on that if you want. That helps.
24-acre lakefront tract valued extraordinarily low at $125,000. Oh, look, they are paying $3,000 a year in property taxes on
Less
it.
than.
No.
So it could be $1.
But it was appraised at, I think, 17 million, it says later in the article.
I guess 65. So yeah, 760
That's his
million is
net
his net worth.
Yeah.
And there's always people who are going to be like, yeah, but that's stocks. That's not actual cash. And it's like, my guy, I don't own a single stock. Like,
Okay, so he's paid taxes on it, but I'm not sure.
It's a
like,
$60
if
million
it's like reduced
house.
or something. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, it's a $60 million house, and he pays less than $3,000 in taxes on that.
That seems
Look
like
at this.
I pay.
what is
I'm so sorry, Alex. I'm blown away by this
what does it
real
say?
quick.
The church has argued to county appraisers successfully that the planes play a vital role in its religious mission.
Oh yeah, I have that because he said that he would not be able to spread his message as much or do his religious duties if he could not fly a private jet.
So let me look at it from his. Let's say he is right. Like, let's say that he does have to fly commercially and spend more time at the airport and stuff. What if he is like, if he fully believes that he needs to get out there and reach as many people as fast as possible? Maybe he is right. I don't know.
He's a televangelist. He's on television.
What about the people who don't have TV?
$760 million net worth Kenneth Copeland is required to own multiple private jets, not just one, to get him to where he needs to go. Multiple.
How many jets does this dude have? I thought
3.
he had
He has at least 3, I believe.
3. Damn.
And he owns a $60 million home that he only he plays less. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I pay I pay $8,000 in taxes every year. Plus,
Oh wow.
he pays
3,000 on his house.
less than $3,000 on a $60 million property. I don't even own a house.
True.
Yeah.
You're spitting straight facts right now, Alex. Straight up.
We need to calm down. We need to chill out. I mean, Kenneth Copeland's
I'm just saying,
Give
like,
you that
I-
finger. He's going to point at you.
I love it. But like,
never say I did.
because you're trying to bring the unbiased view. You're trying to be the unbiased party, so I got to come here with the bias.
You're bringing in space. Listen, it is very hard for me to be unbiased all the time, especially with something like this where I just very clearly believe one way. But I try and see it the best I can
It's a
from his
spiritual
angle.
thing.
Okay.
I love people.
So,
Wait, alcoholism.
yeah, let's benefit of the doubt here. This article, if I paraphrase it real quick, is saying that his argument is that alcohol is pushed by demons, and therefore alcohol being served on the plane is active demonic influence.
Yeah. He wouldn't like our podcast very much.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's the next
So,
question?
well,
Sorry, go ahead.
can I just cut in really quick? So, like, I grew up hating alcohol. I was raised by alcoholics, so I was very anti-alcohol. And then I became an alcoholic later in life. So, I mean, I feel like I can say, I don't think that that's the problem. I don't think it's airplanes that are causing alcoholism. I think it might be, the social impact of alcohol, possibly, maybe. But no, it's the demons, like Jesus, the one who made wine out of water.
Shh, don't let him know that. I don't think he got that far. You're spoiling stuff. You're spoiling stuff. Kenneth Copeland.
Spoilers, Alex. Spoilers. He's still in season 2. Ecclesiastes is great right now.
She's
all
reading
right?
or Alex is reading the manga.
They do have a manga version of the Bible.
They do.
That's amazing.
I really want. I haven't gotten it yet, though. I saw they used to sell it at Walmart, but I don't think they do anymore.
All right, we are way over for this question, but that was very
It
fun.
got off the rails there for a bit, but I had fun.
All right, are we ready to move on to question number 4?
Yeah, question number 4. Let's go ahead and spin her up.
So we're
I
starting
got
back
all
up
the
again.
same cups now.
All right,
this one's
so we have
strong.
entered the tier list section
Oh, nice.
of this talk show.
I saw a picture of my face, but that was it.
What? You saw it?
That was
Spoilers.
it.
That's
Slut.
season 3.
Dude,
So very controversial. I'm sure
I'm
nobody's
not.
going to cancel us for
I had
this.
to argue with, well, I'm not going to say his name, but I had to argue with someone about whether I was a slut or not. I don't want to say his name.
We had a
on
sidebar
podcast.
this. We're not getting into this.
That's
We're talking about religion.
that's another podcast episode.
Well, he's been on podcasts, so I don't want to call him out and then have people get in
Yes.
the comments.
I'm gonna have to focus on this shot because this is one of the stronger ones in the lineup.
Okay.
Great for me. You go first. Actually, I'll go first, so it gives you time to.
You got to do that. You got to. I want to pray for you.
How are we praying here? Am I sacrificing a goat first? Like, which God are we praying to? Sorry, Alex, don't choke, please.
I was gonna bring that up. If we got into laws and whether like cherry picking things, I was gonna be like, you're supposed to be giving goats. Right?
Oh my god.
Where are the virgins? Bring the virgins.
I don't remember what that was. It must have been like the tequila or something. Anyway,
Are you okay?
Tequila's hard for you.
I'm good. No, I mean it's not like that bad, but it's like up there in terms of what we've been drinking tonight. Because a lot of this has been like 35, 30. Okay. Dave,
Yeah, I
hit us.
know. I've had the Fireball so far, the whatever that appley one, that one
E&J
down there.
apple.
Yeah, and I just had the cold brew. I still don't know that one is that I couldn't recognize.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It wouldn't have been. It
I
wouldn't.
feel like you would have recognized Hennessy or Fireball.
I had
So it's gonna-
Fireball. I had cold. So I had everything on that end, and so it's one of these that I couldn't recognize. It wouldn't be the Whitney, I don't think, because that's
Pink Whitney is kind of pink.
yeah. I would think I would have recognized that one. So it might be the tequila that it was.
You didn't recognize tequila? Like
I
tequila is
should have,
distinct.
because I drink tequila pretty often. Well, I used to. I don't drink as much anymore.
All right. Well,
Alrighty.
moving into the tier list here. Tim, this is the first time we're doing this on the show, so do you want to introduce or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we somebody suggested that we do a tier list for our religion episode, and I thought that'd be fun to go through and just pick some of the not necessarily more well-knowns, but the ones that are more identifiable, I guess, to go through. So what do you got? What's the actual physical question called, or does it say?
It just has a tier list link. Oh, how would you rank the mainstream religions?
Yes.
We
these are
also
the-
have a supporting map.
Oh,
Yes. Look at this.
So this
Oh,
is
nice.
This is what I used. This and another website that gave per population and per region what is the most popular religion based on what region you're in. So obviously in America, which I'm still surprised, but 78% of people, and this includes non-religious people, are religious.
Christian.
Oh, sorry,
Specifically.
Christian. Sorry, Christian. So we'll go over. So all the major things are here. You can go to the eastern side, like China and India and stuff like that, just to kind of show all the different sects in there. I'm surprised so many are non-religion in China.
well, China, it's illegal to
Yes.
be religious.
I didn't know this. Wait,
Yes.
you're not allowed to be religious in China?
No, you can be
No.
arrested and
See, this
to
is what
jail.
I'm talking about. I wish I knew about this stuff. I don't know anything about the Eastern religions, stuff like that. Can you go elaborate on it? We're getting to the tier. Actually, let's do the tier list before we get too off the rails. We got a lot of religions to go through. I don't want to get sidetracked already. But we're pulling these religions from real places. We're not just kind of making shit up, except for the next question.
I love these pictures.
All right.
Yeah. Why am I on here? What is this? Why am I Jew?
Well, Dave, it's because you're Jewish.
I'm not Jewish.
I'm
I
being
look
honest,
Jewish.
I thought you were Jewish. Not like anything specific. I just thought I heard that you were like I thought somebody said that.
I heard that too, and I just believed it up to this point.
Yeah, I heard you didn't drink and stuff, and I was like, is that because it's Jewish? But like I didn't know. So when you were saying you were like Christian, I was like. But I didn't want to say anything because I was like, there's no reason for me to believe this. I just thought I heard someone say that once.
So going through the symbols, then I just want to iterate: the person who is not ethnically or religiously Jewish will represent Judaism.
Yes.
I apologize for any Jews watching.
Real quick, if you want to add one more category,
Sure.
This is just good fun. We're not actually trying to insult anybody who believes in
Yeah,
any
this
religion.
is just for funsies.
Yeah, so if you want to add...
Unless you watch the Wendigo encrypted list, and then people are going to get a little salty.
you want to add a tier below D and just make it could use some work.
Could use some work. Okay.
Needs a
Let me
little
workshop
editing in
this.
there.
Needs some work.
Let me workshop this real quick. All right, so X is
Okay.
excommunicated. I guess.
Excommunicado.
Get my
Just like your
grandpa in
grandmother,
here.
your grandfather. Alrighty, so you want to just choose one of these, and we'll go through it. You know what it is? I'll clarify.
Hold on.
Hopefully.
Grabbed it here.
What's
There you
the okay?
Well, don't put it up there yet, Dave.
Well, you could usually people put it on like the middle one just to say we're talking about this one.
Yes.
and
Oh,
then we
sure,
move
that's
it.
fine.
Just
So-
so people are aware of what we're on.
Yeah, so I picked myself for agnostic. You want to give a brief description of where will you put it on this list in terms of one, believability, and like how closely it aligns to what you believe?
So, okay. Like I've said, even though I have my beliefs, I generally say like identify as agnostic because I don't have that sort of faith aspect that I'm always very much like things can happen. I don't know 100%. Like even though I in my brain, my things, the things I deal with in private, believe I've spoken to God, I still don't 100% believe anything. So like I would say that's where I'm at, but like as a belief system, like your belief system is
Listen, it's
fuck is that?
I think it's pretty based. I think it's a reasonable thing. It's just like
It's reasonable, but it's boring as fuck.
oh my god.
Needs
Send
some
him to
work.
the X.
Okay.
Send him.
Because you added that little extra tier of needs work, that's where I would put it.
I'll get down there
Can
too.
we settle on C tier? Come on.
Oh,
No,
he's getting
it's either-
offended.
no,
Oh my
if it's
goodness.
I'm an agnostic, as I said, and it still would be a D if that weren't there. So you can have D if you want.
I'll agree with you only because we don't know where to put it. So we're gonna put it in down here since it doesn't know. You don't know what you're worshiping. You
Needs
also don't
work.
know where you're going on the show.
It needs a little work here and there. You got to be a little more firm, you know.
In the sense of religion and on the chart.
All right.
Go ahead, Dave.
Next, we have Stephen Hawking, I'm assuming,
Okay.
representing atheism.
Yes, Stephen Hawking is atheist. Where would you put old Stephen?
So, I don't think there's anything wrong with being an atheist. However, as someone who was once a staunch atheist, atheists can kind of be dicks. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's a vibe. Like you know how like there's those Christians who like you might not hate Christians, but there's those Christians, you know? It's kind of like that. Like someone comes up to you and they're like, I'm an atheist. You're kind of like,
It has a natural negative connotation to it.
yeah.
And-
So it's not that it's like the belief is bad, but it's just the vibe. It's not passing the vibe check.
They need a rebrand.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
a
all for
company.
Stephen Hawking, but like,
We need to get rid of the fedoras.
Yeah,
They wearing fedoras. I think it'd be in a lot better spot.
So let's bring it back down to like the Big Bang and everything. Do you think that the Big Bang is a credible explanation for the creation of the universe?
sure. But I hated the show, and I think that's going to knock it down a bit.
God damn
I tried
it.
to be serious.
All right, where's Stephen going?
It's definitely low.
No, not that. I think it's at least C tier. Come on, atheism is pretty based.
That's
keep
going in a
saying
short.
that.
That's very quotable.
I'll give it a C for Stephen Hawking, but I mean, I'm not a fan. But
Okay.
it's at least like they do have like they're firm. They got their spot. They're not like agnostics who are kind of like, you know. Like they got an opinion at least.
Okay.
I'm just a little iffy about it.
All right, fair enough. They're at least on a side of the aisle
Yes.
is what you're getting at. That's fair. So now we have Buddy Jesus.
Jesus.
This is representing all of Christianity.
Which is hard because there's a lot of it.
I know, but we kind of have to just pick one.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but my problem is there's those Christians, and they bring it down.
Don't include
but Jesus, like, I'm cool with Jesus. He's chill.
So, yeah,
I'm here for him.
Message of Jesus, good.
Okay, here, I want to just pull this out really quick. Can they see me? Most of these are in the Old Testament, as you can see. That's where most of my study is in. This is what a lot of the people believe in, and it sucks, dude. The reason I haven't studied the New Testament as much is because it's chill.
Yeah.
Pretty chill. I mean, apart from the whole, like, crucifixion and all that stuff. But I mean, like, as far as, like, Jesus, he's pretty chill.
Yeah. Let's just go off just the religion itself, Christianity. How logical is it? I mean, like they have a pretty long book. It effectively is the oldest book in humanity that is recorded history. What's up?
You do know the Bible is part of all Abrahamic religions.
Sure, but I mean, I guess we got Islam up there too.
Yeah,
but we'll just
and
go.
so is Judaism.
Okay, well, we
So
have,
it's not the it's not the oldest.
So where would you put it then?
The vibe for Christians is so like opposite. It's so black and white. You got good Christians, you got bad. Like I said, my grandparents who were both very religious, chill, cool, great. I still won't go to church because the vibe is off. And that's what I mean. That's what I'm having a hard time here with. Like I feel like I can't maybe appropriately judge this as someone with as someone with Catholic guilt.
I mean, 80% of America and a lot of the European nations believe in Christianity. I think it has to at least get a B tier.
Why most
it was a very
Americans?
successful religion.
It was very successful.
They're top of the meta right now.
I'm not a big fan of meta.
I'm just saying, they're playing a consistent strategy.
Okay,
but they
here,
have to
how
at least
about-
be B tier.
I was gonna say, how about C for Christian?
All right.
See for Christian. All right, let me add another layer to this. Above or below atheism?
Above.
Ooh.
Okay.
The comments are flying right now.
Fair.
I hear a lot of fingers typing.
I don't know. I feel like if I was on Hinge and someone identified as Christian and someone identified as atheist, I'd be a lot more willing to swipe on the Christian.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't. I feel like versus someone saying atheist versus like agnostic, to me, just the vibe is not there. Because I don't know. It's something about like when you identify like with a religion, it's like, okay, you have faith, you have these beliefs, chill. But when you believe versus like atheism versus agnosticism,
Good enough.
No, I can't say it either.
I don't think I've ever said that word.
becomes like, it almost feels like a lot of people will identify as atheists just to get at Christians. Like, it's not that you actually fully 100% am like, no, God is fake. It's more like you're like, I don't like Christians and I want to make them mad.
I would also argue that, like, logically speaking, it's very difficult to say you're an atheist. And this is going to make people mad, but whatever. It's good for engagement.
I'm pretty sure everything I just said will make people mad.
Until you can go and uncover every single rock on every single planet and every single gas atom in every single nebula, you cannot say definitively whether there's a God or not.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with the vibe.
At best or worst, you're an agnostic who is very convinced.
Yeah,
that
like
there isn't one.
There's technically an agnostic, like a chart for atheism and agnosticism.
There you go.
Like you have like, technically speaking, agnosticism has like movement where there are theist agnostics where they lean towards a religion, but they still identify as agnostic. And then there's people who are agnostic atheists who don't really believe, but they again can't say 100%. So that's why specifically atheism bugs me a little more than someone saying that they have a religion. Yeah. It's just because it feels a lot more like a troll thing where you're just making people mad.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder like what an atheist, how different an atheist is today as opposed to like 20 years ago, because a lot of atheism is derived from like science and that logical way of looking at the universe. What is a logical way of looking at the universe back in like the 1800s? Like what?
Well, that's what I was saying about a lot of religion being based on fear and not knowing things. Is that's part of why, as society has progressed, we've slowly become less religious. Is because we've learned more about things. That's why most people aren't polytheistic anymore. Is because a lot of polytheism was based on specific like elements of the world of like we didn't know why wind existed, so we said there was a wind god, that kind of thing.
I mean, I would say a wind god exists when I see a tornado, because that shit is scary.
I am terrified of tornadoes.
That shit's scary. Could you imagine seeing one and like not knowing that like, oh, it's just because warm front come down with the cold front, and I'll be like, what do we do wrong? Start sacrificing the virgins. Do it now.
All right, so moving on, staying very topical, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender. No, actually, that's representing Buddhism. Let me double check. Yes, this represents Buddhism.
I feel like Buddhism's pretty chill. Like, I say that as someone who used to be a Buddhist, but pretty chill. Yeah. It's all about being like, hey, I'm going to sit by this tree and I'm just going to hang out. That's it. That's Buddhism. I just summed it up. I hope everybody. Goodbye. I'm gonna go home.
I'm more confused.
But no, yeah. So it's been a long time since I've studied Buddhism, so I'm not gonna like go into a whole thing. But a lot of it is sort of just about connecting and finding inner peace with yourself. There is a lot of, like I said, with Taoism, there's a lot more. Obviously, these are very, very small explanations of things. But it's mostly about your own sort of peace and calm and placed in the world, I guess, and not being sort of tied to the little things in life, all the things that sort of socially control us and things like that.
No, that's fair.
That's how I would that's how I would explain it in a very basic thing. There's a lot of different things.
Yeah, I don't expect you to be an expert on all of the religions, but like, some of these you've like actually believed in at some point.
My thing is that I cannot remember what all the stages of enlightenment are. And so I feel like I need to say this in the most basic form because I cannot tell you all the stages anymore. Like I used to know. I used to love when people would say they were like Nirvana fans because I'd be like, name the 5 stages of enlightenment. But there's not 5 stages.
I think there's 5 stages of grief.
I mean, my dog did die.
Is Alex's camera still good?
Oh, yeah, camera's on perfectly. Thank you for bringing up the dead dog again.
I mean, yeah, I did that on purpose. You want to see a picture of him? I got he's a Doberman.
We're not talking about. We're not working on that track. We're gonna get off this track right now.
In the edit, you're gonna have to insert the clip so people get the context.
Do like a little dream phase.
Sure.
Yeah.
Earlier this day.
Boy, I sure wish we could go back to that moment right now. Alrighty.
Hello.
Just give us some test dialogue. Let us know what's going on in your life, Alex.
I mean, nothing good. So I don't know.
I'm sorry. Well, talk about puppies. How about that?
My dog died. That's why it hasn't been going good.
Nailed it.
You're fucking with me, right?
No.
God damn it. How does that happen? I'm so sorry.
Well, we don't know. That's the problem.
What the fuck? We have to save that or some shit. What the fuck? I'm so sorry, Alex. God damn it.
Moving on. Boy, that was fun, wasn't it?
Follow me on all my socials to learn about my dog.
All right, next, the hand. I see.
You didn't say where it goes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, right.
Avatar.
Together. Where's it go?
I don't know. Like, I definitely think it's definitely at least an A, but I don't.
A for A.
I like that.
I'm sure. We can go with that.
Let's stop picking religions based on what they start with. I do like that. I do like that.
Because like I definitely think it's between an S and an A, but I.
Boy, Or it could be B for Buddhism.
No, I think it's a good thing. You get a little statue, you get to rub the belly. I think that's fun.
I don't know anything about Hindu except from Smite, the video game.
I was gonna say, like, for whatever reason,
Can we get a little wiki of Hindu, please?
for whatever reason, Hinduism feels like, obviously not really, but it feels like it's always a religion that gets referenced in other religions, but not ever talked about directly.
Yeah.
Like every time you study Buddhism, they'll bring up Hinduism and its relation to that, but they won't it's not like you actually go into it. Same with Taoism. They'll bring up Hinduism and its attachments in relation to that, but it's never like, hey, you want to learn about Hinduism? You know, like anything like that. I know that they have 3 gods or branches that represent the different part. I can't remember all their names, but like one represents like war and death and things like
Kali.
that.
Is that it? Kali?
There is one that's like something to that. I can't remember, and it makes me mad.
It has 1.2 billion followers, 15% of the global population. 15%. If that was like a box of pizza, that'd be a whole slice of pizza. Let's figure out what Hinduism is. Scroll down a bit.
Oh my gosh.
Like I don't know. Like I have like studied it. Like I have, but I can't like remember anything. That's what's bothering me.
Okay, this is my ignorant white man take, but this feels like, I'm sorry, anybody
Go
who
for
believes
it.
this. It feels like another polytheistic religion.
It is a polytheistic religion.
Right, but I'm saying it's like it's a pantheon mythology in the Western view of like Greece, Rome.
I know
things
what
like
you
that.
mean, but I would say it's a lot more not grounded, but there's only a like few main gods basically. It's not like with Greek and Roman where they just go off and they just every little tiny thing has a god attached to it. So yeah, so there's 3 main and they each represent a different thing. So Vishnu is time, good, and Shiva is the one that's related to war and stuff.
Okay. Well, if we don't know too much about it, I won't like stay on the topic too much, but I would like to know more about it. This is one of those religions that like a large subset of the population believes in, and I know nothing about. I don't know what its moral system is. I mean, like I know they're generally gods, yes, but like what is their version of heaven? Where does a person go? What kind of life should they
Hindus,
lead?
I'm pretty sure, believe in reincarnation. That's where the main like reincarnation, like Buddhism and Taoism kind of have some sects that believe in reincarnation, but I believe Hinduism is where like that is the main thing.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the
I like
case.
reincarnation. So where should we put Hinduism with our limited knowledge of how it functions? I think the multiple arm god is pretty cool.
I was gonna say at least a B, just because I think the gods are pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems pretty inspired.
Sorry.
All right, Islam.
Where are we putting the box?
Wait, why is it?
The box is their most famous thing.
Is it?
Yeah, like whenever like Muslim person, or how you would say it appropriately, whenever they pray like 5 or 7 times a day. I think it's 5 times. They have to face Mecca, which is where the box is, right? The box. I forget
interesting.
what the box is called.
It's called the Kaaba, I think is how
Kaaba.
you pronounce it.
Yes, but they all face the Kaaba.
It's called literally the cube,
Ah,
is what
nice.
that translates to.
I think
Yeah.
that deserves a pretty high ranking just on its own, because that's cool.
I do like symmetry.
So,
yeah.
aside from the, I believe, I'm assuming from my standpoint that it's a meteorite inside the box, but who knows? It could be some actual like powerful artifact that could bring the end of mankind. But if it's not that, I do like, I've heard somewhere, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Muslim religion is one of the few religious beliefs of hell that I could ascribe to, because they believe that everybody's bad, just like most religions do. But if you go to hell, you don't stay there for eternity. You just serve your penance there until you're ready to go to heaven. Can you look up what actually inside of it? Because I forgot. It's been so long since I've like researched this stuff.
I just looked it up. There appears to be some holy artifacts,
The multiple
similar to the Ark of the
artifacts.
Covenant, how it had like the tablets on it inside of it, and like some other holy items. It seems to be a similar thing, but for Muslims.
Interesting.
Okay. So that's not just like one thing in there. It's multiple artifacts. It's like all of the religious artifacts are in there. Then.
From me, an ignorant white man, very briefly leafing through a Wikipedia page that was also probably made by ignorant white people, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm guessing. It looks like there's other items inside of it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think having a cube that I know they're not worshiping the cube, but you know what I mean. I think that gives it a boost.
From my brief experience with the religion, and I don't know too much about it, I think it's an A tier. I think it's an A tier.
I don't know if I'd go to A.
What do you think it is then?
I mean, it's. I would say it's at least a B, but I don't know that I would say it's like full A tier.
I tried to even just find an icon for Shinto for this, like for all the different icons for different religions. That's all that came up was like the building thing. So I don't know, like.
That's
Here
a
we go.
Tory.
Yeah.
This one has a little more succinct on its
Kami.
definition. Shinto
Kami.
revolves around supernatural. Go ahead, Tim.
No, it's spirits. I remember the term kami. They're like spirits, but go ahead and read.
Shinto revolves around supernatural entities called the kami. The kami are believed to inhabit all things, including forces of nature and prominent landscape locations. They are worshipped at kamidana household shrines, family shrines, and jinja public shrines. So looks like the worship of the immutable anima that exists in all things.
Yeah. So you'll see that. You see this a lot in like, I don't know how much you guys play like Japanese games and horror games and things like that, but you see that a lot, and that it tends to be a big theme because of the sort of beliefs around how spirits exist, how they interact with the world, and what creates them, and different things like that. So that's what I would assume a lot of the Shinto is going to be based around, are those different existences and how they do. I know the Tories represent different things of how they pass on to the spirit world. I don't know if Shinto does it, but I know there is something in that sphere where you put coins on the eyes of the dead because they have to pay the toll, sort of like Charon and different things like that.
The Greek mythology stuff, yeah.
And so, I mean, I think all that is really cool and neat. Like, I don't know a lot about the specific religion, but I know the general stuff in like Japanese, not ghost mythology. I don't know what you would call that, spiritualism.
The spiritualism sounds right. Because they believe all objects and buildings have spiritual connections.
I wouldn't say that ties directly into my current beliefs, but that is something that I've had a belief in for a long time, about everything sort of having not necessarily a soul, but something. It's sort of why, like, I'll, bump an object and I'll be like, I'm so sorry that you have fallen on the floor. And it's just like a cube.
The cube. It's back.
Not the cube?
Do you know why you feel that way?
No.
Because we grew up with Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think
Mind
I
blown.
felt it before Toy Story, but I feel that.
Right. Quick and dirty, where are we putting Shinto at?
I think that's at least an A. I think that's neat.
All right. A, because it's neat.
It's neat, and I feel it.
I
Sure,
dig
it's not
that.
S for Shinto? I'm kidding.
No, it's not
It's
an S.
A.
Nothing's an S yet.
It's not an S because I don't know enough about it to put it at S.
I would like to point out that the religions that we know least about are the ones getting pushed near the
Because
top.
they're neat. But yeah, because the more we know about it, the more we're like, this sucks. I hate this shit. I didn't hate God. I didn't dislike God nearly as much until I read the Bible. Like, that's why most Christians don't read the Bible. They just go to church and listen to what the pastor tells them. Because as soon as you actually sit down and read, you're like, this guy fucking blows. Like, what the hell? He just flooded people.
Comments are furiously flying off right now.
It's getting contentious down there. I don't want to look.
All right. Speaking of contention, we got the nice, not Jewish man representing Judaism.
Yeah.
I like that you identified as nice for yourself.
Yeah, that is kind of self-congratulatory. This man that I feel completely neutral about representing Judaism. Yeah. So where would we rank Judaism as far as vibe and logic?
So I would say the vibes are a little off. Like, you know how it's going to be a little mean. People are going to be mad at me. But you know how like the priests of Judaism, they have like
Rabbi.
those. Yeah. They have like those funny little curls on the side of their head and stuff. I just don't vibe with it. They remind me of Amish people.
Okay.
What if there's an Amish person watching this right now?
Damn it.
You know, the one thing I will say about Jewish culture is that they kind of solved a certain hole in society. One third of men bald, and this is where we get into the Keat sponsorship. Let me get up.
What?
I'm joking. But in all seriousness, one third of men bald, but their little hats that they wear cover that bald spot.
Okay, here's the thing.
It does. Like, did they invent the hat because they were balding? I don't know.
No, it's in the Old Testament. But
what's the hat for?
it's just.
I know you're supposed to cover your head when you're inside or outside. I think.
I don't remember what part exactly it's in, but they like outline all the specific things you're supposed to wear. But anyway, I do dig the little hats. I just like little.
I think you're supposed to not just have yourself naked before God. Women have their long hair for that, and men don't have that. Therefore, they need
which
a
is
head
really
cover.
interesting that it specifically says you can't have long hair, and then Jesus is out here. I know Judaism, they don't have Jesus, but you know
Yeah,
what
I don't think
mean.
they're exactly up on the Jesus thing.
No, because like the Old Testament says that too. So that's what I mean. It's just like that. I know, obviously, yeah, Judaism doesn't have that, but I'm saying in general.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, we're putting Dave.
I think they need points for being the progenitor religion for a lot of Abrahamic faiths.
True, and I was gonna say I do fuck with David. Like, he's God's favorite for a reason. I plan to get a statue of David tattoo. It's gonna be my biggest tattoo. I'm just waiting until I lose a bit of weight. But
You mean the king, right?
yes,
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean that's but listen, if
I
you
don't
get,
want to be tattooed on you.
if you got a tattoo when you have a little bit of weight, whenever you lose some weight, it becomes higher definition because all the pixels kind of combine into a higher.
here's the thing.
You're such a nerd. Who calls a tattoo higher definition?
Yeah.
Everything kind of.
I have my tattoo designed. I know how it's gonna
It's
look.
like whenever you blow up like one of these JPEGs, it's gonna look terrible when it's big, but when you condense it down, it's gonna be HD, baby. I think it's fine where it is.
Yeah, I think it's fine there. It's not as bad as, an agnostic, but it is.
I'm sorry, Tim.
All right, last one of the mainstream ones, which is
My baby.
Taoism, I believe.
Taoism.
It is.
Or Taoism, some people call it. It's the same thing. And like I said, it is about the balance of the world, that everything's connected, everything belongs together, everything moves in conjunction with things. And again, there's a bunch of like offshoots and different little things. But that is the main thing. And I just think that's chill.
Yeah, well, the one aspect of Taoism I do like, and it's represented by the symbol, is that there's always a little bit of good or bad in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like the cyclical nature of it too. So I would put it up there with Buddhism.
I do think it's very much a thing that like I don't feel like anyone can just disagree with it as much. Like I feel like every religion you can pick something that you disagree with. But what about Taoism is there to really be like, no, that I hate that. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like it's such a just like, hey, see that river over there? Cool. Like that's it. That's the religion. And like, so I feel like that's why it's like, it's hard to put it super high, but at the same time, it's like, what are you going to argue about?
Yeah.
So I'd put it at least a B, but I don't know if it can be as high as A just because of that.
I'd put it front row B.
Yeah, I'd definitely put high B.
We're holding strong. All right, so now we're going to move on to question 5.
I like
which
how
is,
our only bad one was exhaustive.
Sorry, Tim.
I'm sorry too.
And myself, I
I
guess.
would have put it in S tier, but apparently it's not there.
Listen, I'm not saying it's bad. It needs work. That's what you added that level.
All right, what if needs work didn't exist?
I mean, it still wouldn't be good. I'm just saying. No, absolutely not. It's still staying down there.
Just put it down there in D or the needs
Yeah,
work
it's
thing.
just not.
Thanks,
It's just
Dave.
not. I'm not vibing with it. Because like I said, with Taoism, it's like you can't. There's nothing to fight about, but at least Taoism has something. agnosticism is like, yeah, you can't fight about it, but it's like, what's there? It's a shrug.
So no, I know you want to move on, but no S tier then?
I don't think so. I think if I knew more about Shinto, I could move it into S tier, but I don't know enough about it to put it there. I just think it sounds neat, but until I actually know enough about it, I can't be like, no, this is the top tier religion. So thank you for all your angry comments about this list. I will not be reading them.
I don't know if I can either now.
So, question number 5 is, how would you rank the non-mainstream religions, which we have loaded in here on the list, including such wonders as Scientology, yoga, Mormonism, and Alex. Okay, so Confucianism in question mark.
Yep.
Greek and Roman.
I used to be like a whore for Greek mythology. Like, I don't remember a lot of it, but like, love that shit.
It's pretty dope. I like the video game Hades a lot. I like the movie Hercules a lot. Anyway, Greek mythology. I do like their aspects of the underworld, and like there's like it's like really fleshed out universe. It's not just like generic, oh, you go to you know this place and you're just there for always.
Literally, the biblical hell is just a dark pit. Like, that's it.
But like there's like a hierarchy to it, and there's like a reason for everything existing. It's a very it really fleshes out the universe, which I really appreciate, even if it isn't logical.
I feel like so this is like a side tangent, but I really hate that like Greek mythology is called Greek mythology when it's a religion.
Yeah.
Like it used to be a practice. That's always just grinding my gears, just to be like, oh no, that's the fake one. Like it's like it still was a religion. Like we still like just like Native American religions, like old Aztec religion. Like they're still religions. But I'd definitely say it's at least an A. I think it's a really good. It's fun for the whole family.
Clearly, otherwise Disney would have made a movie for it.
Well, I mean, don't actually like read Greek and Roman stuff with your family.
It's very
There's
rapey.
It is.
There's a lot of animals.
Speaking of fun for the whole family.
At least an A, but there is a lot of eh.
So next we have Mormonism.
Oh God.
Speaking of fun for the whole family.
That is the bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
Why is it the bottom
Wow.
of the
So
barrel?
strongly.
Why is it the bottom?
I feel like it's the worst aspects of Christianity you can have all in one, plus an extra guy.
I don't know. I feel like I really want to see what good aspects of this there are, because people give Mormonism a lot of crap. Also, there's a comment on there on the Word spreadsheet, on the Word document rather. We had something incorrect about Mormonism where we were referring to polyamory, I believe it was, from the last time we talked about it.
Okay, because I was going to bring up that, but
That's not Mormonism. The LDS believe in polygamy in the afterlife, but it's not a leveling system. There are aspects to this that are true and not true. With
I was going to say, first of all, there are branches of Mormonism. There is the LDS and there is the ELDS. There's another one that's a lot worse. And it's not like the main Mormonism, so we're not really referring to that specifically. And it's not a leveling system, but there is, from what I understand, I could be misremembering, but there is like you're supposed to have like at least 3 wives, and then you'll move on to a different thing or something. But listen, I'm not going to comment on that because I don't have any issues with polyamory. Mm-hmm. Like that is not why I dislike Mormonism. I don't have any issues with that. I have issues with polyamory in terms of when it's like specifically like only the man can be polyamorous. Like I have issues with that, but again, that's not my gripe with Mormonism. I don't have a problem with that specifically. I have a problem with the misogyny in the way that they practice it, but not in that specifically. So with this comment. It doesn't matter.
I think the polyamory comes from the original creator of Mormonism, Joseph Smith or John Smith,
Yes.
whatever it is. Which one is it?
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith. He moved out to Utah, center of the state or center of the country, and he basically did have multiple wives, and he only allowed people who were close to him in his hierarchy to have multiple wives as well. And I think that that's where we're coming up with the polyamory. I know that today, or I don't know, but like I presume that today they don't have these same beliefs. And from what I understand, I mean, what I see in culture, most Mormons do live good lives, good, faithful lives, and they are typically pointed as the people in religion that are the most, not really the most, but like are like generally going to be good people. So I'm not trying to dunk on the people of Mormonism. I just think that its origins are very dubious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Joseph Smith. I have actually the Mormon, not Mormon Bible, but there I
The
can't
Book of
remember what
Mormon.
it is. Yes, I just haven't read it yet. I do actually have it. Again, my thing is not. And a lot of Mormons don't even practice polyamory. That's not really my gripe. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with there is a lot of misogyny is bad in a lot of sects of Christianity, but I just feel like I notice it even more in Mormonism. I feel like, again, I only see certain aspects of it, but I feel like every aspect that I have seen about it, whether it be on TV, on things I've read, on video essays of different things that I've always seen, that it is the most misogynistic group of Christians that there can be. And it is often, they have a lot of money that goes towards their pushing of their religion, of trying to be like, look how beautiful and perfect and great our lives are.
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. That there's a reason that most multi-level marketing program or companies operate in Utah and in Mormonism, because it's very culty, is what I will say.
And I watch a YouTuber, Johnny Harris. He does great like modern climate videos, like political climates and like tech, and like he goes over like maps, what the evolution of maps are. He used to be a Mormon for the longest portion of his life, and you can only marry other Mormons. And effectively, if you stop believing in Mormonism, you can no longer enter heaven with the rest of your family.
Yes.
So like him disbanding from that faith was a huge decision, much harder than any other decision I think it is to leave any other religion, because at least you can still communicate with your family, except for like maybe the Amish, right, or whatever else.
Yes, they are the same way.
So I mean, that's kind of my exposure with it, and I found that aspect of it is very interesting, to where they go to heaven as like as a group. Like once you marry, you're a part of that family in heaven, as opposed to just a family on earth, which is often what you're expected to have on earth is until your death do you part.
So I don't want to keep, obviously we have a time, so I don't want to go too on a tangent, but I mean, if you've heard of it in that aspect, okay, but I've never heard of it in that aspect of like your family. I've heard it anytime that I've seen ex-Mormons like that. I've watched other YouTubers. I don't know that one specifically, but I've watched other similar YouTubers. It's never been a thing of being like your family. It's been that sort of cultish sort of thing of like, if you aren't going to agree with us, you get out. We don't want you here. You're not allowed to be around us. And it's that sort of thing of what I talked about with my fear with Christianity when I was young, of feeling ostracized, of feeling like I have to do these specific things in order to fit in and be accepted and not be, go to hell or be ostracized by other people. And it's worse in things like Mormonism, because it is that sort of excommunication thing. Yeah. It's not just like, your family is like, well, I don't really like that you're not following our religion, but we'll stop talk to you. It's like, no, you're out of here. Like, we don't want anything to do with you. Or, they might want to, but they can't because their religion says you can't. And so everything that I've consumed has not been great.
Therefore, where are we putting them?
Bad.
Bad is not on the chart.
It's a very fun religion, but it honestly just came from hysteria. I think the Gold Rush had a lot to play into it. I think D tier.
Yes.
Below or above agnosticism?
Below.
Below, yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Like, yeah,
hey, we
agnosticism
gave a pretty
is a
legitimate
shrug, but...
reasons for it. We gave it a fair shake. Anyway, Egyptian.
Here, can I just say really quickly, even if you don't know too much about a religion, if your immediate instinct is this makes me extremely uncomfortable, there's probably a reason for it. Like whether it's legitimate or not, there's a reason that this makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
But yes.
All right, Egyptian.
I don't
Very
know.
similar to Greek.
Yes, I don't know a lot about it, but it's very similar to Greek in that sense that it's very fleshed out. There's a lot going on, and they got animal people, and I think that's cool.
I do know that even like the Romans, whenever they would go and see like Cleopatra and she was over there seducing all the Roman generals, they actively said that like all the gods are basically their gods are their same gods. So
They're,
like,
it's similar to how Greek and Roman mythology is kind of lumped together. It's the same thing. It's just a different area of the world. It's the same thing I don't know what we'll continue into. It's the same thing with Native American or, those sort of beliefs that it's all about the same sort of thing. It's just a different spot. So they have a different name for it.
I remember this.
Question mark.
yeah, that's fine. That's
Yoga.
Okay.
Like the yoga or like the religion?
No, just yoga. I mean, yoga, religion, whatever. Just yoga. I don't know. It was on there as a religion that has a lot of followers. So
Well, I believe there's a yogi religion or something like that, which
Because Google got mad at me.
yeah, because so yoga is associated with certain religions, but that's because mostly that is because of Christian, like the same thing that I said about those Christians who like they see someone doing something different and they're like, that's Satanism. Like yoga is a practice and a lot of religions do use it, but it's not a religion in itself. It's just a form of exercise.
all right, where would you put We Fit Trainer?
We Fit herself?
Yes.
S.
All right, perfect. Next.
That cannot be the S tier. Oh my gosh. You know what? In that vein, S for Scientology.
Hell yeah!
Above yoga.
No, wait, we gotta talk about Scientology.
Dude.
Scientology. Please don't get me canceled or bombed or whatever's going to happen to me.
Dude.
That's all I'm asking.
Dude. A guy wrote a book.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes.
Yep.
I said a guy for a reason. A guy wrote a book and everyone went, fuck, dude. Cool. And then they made a big building about it. And then they got a bunch of actors to join in. Then they caused a bunch of anti-vaccine propaganda. And then they bribed a bunch of people. And somehow it's considered a legitimate religion.
Yeah, I'm afraid to put it any lower than S because I might be killed.
Yeah,
so.
you two are on camera right now.
I am aware, but here's the thing. I have depression, and I don't care.
She said, come get me, Tom Cruise, D tier.
I wanted on record that I wanted an S tier, but Alex, you put it wherever you like.
Dude, if I can write a book, any book, put anything in it, and have people put a building in Boston, the center, that is really, it's actually a really nice building. I've been to it. And somehow it's a multi-million-dollar religion. I would never worry about bills again. I would write a single book. I would publish it through Penguin Publishing.
Wait, is that what they publish it through?
No, that's the only publishing company I know off the top of my head. I'd be in Scholastics.
You be in your history class book that you're just glossing over.
Like, does anyone actually remember what the Scientology god is?
I don't know if there is a god.
Well, you know what I mean, like the
there's some alien race situation going on.
Correct.
And like the souls are trapped here on Earth.
Sure.
I don't know too much about it beyond that and Thetans and all that other stuff, but I don't know.
Xenu.
Yes,
Xenu. Isn't it the planet or something? Or is that the name of the race?
it's like the god thingy,
You're canceled.
and they have like a machine that they hook you up to, and it's like a lie detector, but not a lie detector. And then if you say the wrong things, then they put you in like a dark room and like
Re-educate you
yeah.
is the term they use. Re-education. You're going to get re-educated for not knowing Xenu.
Would you put this in a tier before we get...
I feel like we already know where it goes. It goes in S.
Oh yeah.
Okay. As for Scientology, sounds good.
Excellent.
Right above yoga.
No, not in front of
Incredible.
not in front of We Fit Trainer.
Yeah,
They'll
no,
understand.
absolutely not.
Right, because he's doing the yeah to her making that post. You go, We Fit Trainer.
Absolutely incredible. I can't believe this nonsense.
All right.
Who's this guy?
It's
Voodoo.
me. It's Voodoo.
It's
Ah,
Tim as
sick.
what Baron Samwadi or whatever you
Baron
were.
Samedi.
Samedi.
Yes, it's my Halloween costume from 2 years ago, and technically this past year because I went to Pittsburgh like that. But yeah, Voodoo. Where do you put Voodoo at?
I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but I really like that song in The Princess and the Frog with the guy and the ghosts.
Yeah, it's a good song.
So I put it at least in B
I
for
also
that
like.
alone.
I also like the Dead Island song "Who Do You Voodoo."
Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
that song's so good.
Okay, I think B is a good place. I don't know nothing about it, but I know I know the vibes.
Hey, yeah, you see it in Pirates of the Caribbean. That one chick is sitting there reading the bones and everything.
Yeah, all the vibes I get from it, I'm on it. Like, is it feel like I'm gonna get cursed? Yes, but I'm chill about it.
You're gonna kill me. At least shrink my head so it looks cool.
That is pretty cool that they can do that. Like, I would never, like, how much did they have to experiment with heads to figure that shit out? How many heads did they fuck this up?
Oh, this one grew 3 times. We got to reverse the formula.
All right,
Where are we leaving
putting
it? B?
Voodoo at?
I think B, just because I don't know enough about it to put it any higher than that. But
Okay.
what I do know, it's cool.
So, where would you put your religion?
Me?
Yes. And what can you give us a synopsis of it?
Oh my God! How long of a synopsis are you?
Okay. All right. So you're doing what Scientology did. You are making that book that you mentioned. Penguin is distributing it for you, and you're writing the back of the cover to try to sell it. What is on the back cover?
I mean, probably just a picture of a floating head, but somehow that we make it look like it's spinning, like you go like this. And
Like a holographic?
yeah.
What about
Alex
a
head.
pop-out book? That'd be pretty dope, right? I know. Hire me. I'll help
Imagine
make
if your
the
Bible
pop-out.
had pop-up pictures. That'd be cool.
That's how they should really start to indoctrinate children. I think
Pop-up
that would
Jesus.
work better. On the cross.
T-pose.
Oh my gosh. That's so sad.
You would scar a lot of kids. I don't know if we could do that. It has to be PG-13
You
at
think
least.
that religion doesn't already scar kids?
No,
Do I need to go about my trauma?
But anyway, back to your religion. What-
Okay.
Yeah.
See, so I was originally, before coming here, I was gonna make one of those videos that are like teaching a subject, but from like elementary school to college age, like how you would explain it to people. That's what I was gonna do, and then I just didn't have time because I'm like, okay, so from the basics. Imagine. So here's the most basic version I can give. Imagine a god. He's just hanging out.
He?
They is proper, but they're just hanging out. And then they have a little bit of a quarrel, like an internal, they're like a little bit like, I don't know about this. And then that gets so bad that they split off into like 100 different gods, okay? And then they all do some stuff. And some of that is good and some of it's not good. But the main thing, they're all doing stuff.
Mhm.
And then that stuff doesn't really work out. And so then everything blows up. And then it resets to try and do that again. And then they do that again. And they just keep doing that over and over and over again until eventually, what the hope is that they'll do it right. And then they'll all come together and they'll come back into the main god. And then everything will be something. I don't know what happens after that because we haven't gotten there yet. But that's the main thing.
So where are the gods at now in our universe? I guess I should ask.
Well, right now, so everyone has sort of their own main thing that they do. And that's sort of where the cycles come and that they keep doing things and you're just kind of hoping things work out. So that's what I said earlier about the biblical God existing, that he does exist. He's out there and he's doing his thing, but the goal is reunification.
Okay.
But because each one has their own opinion of where their things are going, They're not all doing things in the way they want to, or doing things in the right way, I guess you could say. And that's why we keep resetting the ways that, but we don't have, the reincarnation does not work in the same way that it works in some other religions. You don't just get reincarnated and that's it. You have a chance of being reincarnated. Your soul might not get reincarnated. It's based on your impact on the world. If you're having a good impact, and the gods that manage, like, watching how each cycle progresses, if you're showing that you are having an impact, people are happy to have you, you are making a good thing, you're helping people, you're helping the environment, you're doing whatever, they'll be like, hey, that's a good person, we're gonna bring them back if things go sideways. And they keep doing that. If you fucking suck, they're gonna say, get that guy out of here, he's gonna keep ruining stuff. And so then you don't get reincarnated. And that's sort of where it comes to the balance aspect of things, of everyone is existing, everyone is having an impact on things, but if you are in the eyes of the management, let's say.
I'm glad that you have a very bureaucratic company-like religion.
There's certain, again, that's what I mean about there being
is there an employee of the month? Like, is there a god of the month?
That's sort of what I mean.
God of the millennium.
About like this split where some of the gods are chill and they're helping out, and some other ones are just fucking around.
Sounds like management.
Yeah. So that's what, like, you know how I said, like, there's like a sort of like what the Hindu gods would be. Like, I have that, but I don't know much about them. Those are the management people. Those are just, they're just hanging out over there trying to be like, hey, can y'all like do the right thing for once? And we keep not doing that. And that's where then we get into a lot of different theories about like the Great Reset and singularity and all that kind of stuff that we're basically not destined, but we keep fucking up somewhere. And in some timelines, humans don't exist at all.
So what is our role in that universe then?
Well, our current timeline is fucked, so it doesn't really matter, except for when I say it doesn't matter, that's what I mean about the balance thing. With, again, the Taoism, it's like you can't just be complicit. Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, I can't do anything. You can't have that or you won't get reincarnated. That's sort of where the having an impact sort of thing comes in, that you can't have that complicity of, like, you said earlier about how if God has a plan and knows what's going to happen, why does it matter what I do? That's sort of where the answer to that comes in, that yes, there is a movement and things might fail, but you still can make an impact. Okay. So this current timeline, from my understanding, is fucked. We're not gonna succeed in reunification this time, but you can still make an impact on the next timeline by being a good person and having an impact on the people around you in this timeline, even if it's not gonna end up where the gods prefer it to be.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, thank you for that description. Where would you put your religion?
Well, first of all, I'm not gonna. I would rather hear other people's opinions on that. But
also, I'll come at it from the angle of like, what really is the difference between your beliefs in a religion and, let's say that you were born back in 600 BCE and you just wrote all this down and you preach this as a religion. What is the difference between what you describe and what all these other people describe for their religion?
Oh, it doesn't matter. My whole thing is that, or the way that mine progresses, is it doesn't matter if you follow it. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Mine has no impact on what you believe in.
It's what you believe in.
It's what I believe, but I'm saying, like, if mine was true, for instance, let's say arguing the Christian versus mine. In the Christian one, if you don't believe in God, you're fucked. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's true and you choose not to believe in it. That's it. He hates you, essentially. Yeah. Depending again on the different sex, but that's not what we're talking about. Whereas in mine, it doesn't matter. I don't have to preach it to you. I don't have to sit here and try and convince you it's true, because it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. All that matters is what you choose to do with your life. So if you choose to be an awful person, then that's it. You chose to be an awful person, and then the God said, hey, that guy sucked, get him out of here. But if you chose to, if you chose to do nothing, maybe you get to continue on anyway, because they're saying, hey, he didn't do anything, so go ahead. Or if you choose to be a great person, they're like, let's keep him around, he seems chill. But it doesn't matter if you believe in them. It has no impact on anything, because the point is not to worship anything. The point is just to be a good person. Also, I'd like to just put as an aside that I'm not like all here. So like, it's very hard to try and explain all this when I've never explained it in like words before. I've tried to write all this down before, like in like, not in a Bible sense, but just like try to get all my thoughts
Like a
out.
notes type thing.
Yeah, and I've restarted it many times. It's very hard, especially when you have like chronic fatigue and like ADHD and different things that make it hard to focus on things, as well as when you have things that, like, again, that feeling of having a calling or knowing something or something. It's like, how do I put this in words? How do I explain to someone that I am feeling this way, or I feel like I know something, but like I don't have proof? Like, I can't prove it to you that this is true. But again, the difference between mine and some other religions is I don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't impact me. It doesn't impact anyone else if you believe it or not. All that matters is how you are as a person.
I mean, at least it has a good moral compass.
That's the point, I guess.
But yeah, so we got through all of the religions, and this is where we. Oh, sorry, where are we putting?
Well, that's up to you,
Alex,
you guys. You can put me in. You can put me in D. You can put me in. I have no clue what you just
Why
said.
not just put it up in S tier so it's a nice even distribution?
Nice.
No, behind Tom Cruise.
Sorry, Church of Scientology.
Oh yeah, I said I was gonna look up what the heck my church was called. I actually have like a term for like my belief system, but I don't want to put it out there yet until I've got a Bible on the go. Okay. And I have a deal with, Penguin Publishing.
All right, let's go ahead and do this final shot.
Good luck.
No, shot number 6. I forgot it's the Hennessy.
Good
God be
luck.
with me.
He had to get a chaser. Street cred gone. Bye bye, street cred.
Holy crap.
All right. Number 6. We have a response to YouTube comments.
All right, I forgot about that.
Yep. So we're going to start with the positivity first. Go ahead, Tim.
God, I don't read comments.
So we got a few responses from the first episode we did. Episode 2, you were on here for shot takes, so thank you for coming back. First one was, I like how you handle talking about the subjects instead of just creating questions specifically to make the opposing side look bad. Hopefully we did a decent job this time. I'm really biased when it comes to religion because I'm very, logically driven. Not really
I mean, I felt like you took a non-biased approach a lot of the time. I feel like I was on trying to fight most of the time. And I'm also a very logically driven person. I just like arguing sometimes.
I like arguing too. That's why we have this going on. And then this other comment, do you think all young kids were brought up non-binary, there would be more or less trans people? I think there would be way more. I think being trans is just socially constructed as normal genders. If kids didn't form an identity as a boy or a girl based on how they were treated by parents in society, I think that there would be more trans people. Do you agree?
I think this person has a very big misunderstanding as to what trans means.
Okay.
Because trans isn't just about the social constructs that come with it. It's a hard thing to say because there are different offshoots of beliefs, and I don't want to be accused of being certain groups. But for me, as someone who went through transition for a while and then decided not to, that was not socially driven. That was based on how I felt about myself and my body. And without going through that process, I don't think I would have come to the conclusion that I'm currently at with my identity. I don't think raising a child as a they them is going to make somebody agree or not agree with their own personal body and identity. I think what we do I don't necessarily think we should be treating people non-binary, but I think the problem is that we force constructs onto people. So we force the pink aisle onto female children and stuff
Literally
like
what I was
that.
picturing too. That's funny. Yeah.
So that's what I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with you calling your female child a she. Like, that's not a problem. My problem is that by the way that things are pushed onto children, they're forced into this little bubble. And that's what I have a problem with. And I feel like me growing up, I would have had a much better time if I didn't feel like I had to be forced into a bubble.
Thank you guys for your comments. I appreciate the constructive criticism, or just like, actual comments that have some kind of real response to it, not just just being trolly or whatever else. So I do read them, and I do appreciate you guys reaching out. So I wanted to try and highlight.
Add one really quick thing that they said. I think being trans is just as socially constructed as normal genders. Trans people can be binary. Like, I assume by normal gender they mean boy and girl.
Yeah.
Most trans people are boy or girl.
I think their mind is in the right spot. I just think that they may not have the same understanding that you do.
They don't have the language. I feel like it's
they might be trying to learn, too. I mean,
I'm not accusing. I'm not accusing them of being transphobic or anything like that. I feel like a lot of the way they worded things makes me sound like they just don't have a lot of knowledge about the subject. Not that they're purposely trying to be, offensive or anything like that. Just the way it's worded, it feels like I don't know. Like, I'm not getting the right information about this sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we have the comments that were not as constructive.
Yay!
But in all fairness, I mean, the questions they posed, I did talk to this other person in the comments for a bit on YouTube. And, I do my best to try and be as unbiased as possible when it comes to these topics. And something like, non-binary trans topic is a very difficult topic to combat, because, some aspects of society, it could shape forever in the future. And a lot of people are trying to hold on to what they understand how society should function as hard as possible. And unfortunately, conversations like this, even though we're just having fun, I think are necessary to figuring out how society is going to work moving forward. Otherwise, it's just going to be conflicting constantly. But first question that we have here, do you think trans people should be able to do sports as the gender they pick?
So I don't know. I don't know a ton about this I know what they're talking about, but I do not know a ton of research. But the research that I have seen has shown that trans people who have gone through transition therapy, so HRT and things like that, have shown to be about the same as people who have been born the sex of that they pick, as they like to put it. So therefore, it doesn't affect anything. Again, that's the science that I have seen, but I have not done a ton of research in the subject, so I don't feel like I am able to put a comment on that. Because yes, if I was, a female, I lived female my entire life, and then I was put up against someone who has, male hormones. I was on male hormones. I know how it changes your body and things like that. Yes, I would feel upset about that, because there is a difference. However, from what I've seen, when you go through these different therapies, it changes. Like I said, I have been on transition therapy, and it changes how you function.
And I want ultimately people to be happy, right? But at the same time, if rights of groups interfere with other rights of other groups, that's when it gets kind of murky. So I remember watching in the Olympics, I believe it was like 4 years ago, the last time they had the Olympics, they did have a transgender athlete, male to female, compete in a like a lifting competition, and I don't think they even outperformed. I can't remember the exact performance that they did, but they did compete in the Olympics against other females. Do you think that that should be restricted, or do you think that that should be allowed?
I don't think you can unilaterally decide on that because of like what I said. Is this person just walking in and just being like, yeah, I'm a girl today and therefore I can compete? Or is this somebody who has gone through years of transition and is, showing up and has the same exact levels? Like you said, they didn't even outperform this group. And that's what I've seen in most of the science that I've seen. I've noticed that a lot of people who have these arguments, and I know you're trying to be the devil's advocate thing. I noticed that a lot of people who have these types of arguments only listen to the science that supports their views, and then as soon as some other thing comes in, they don't want to, that confirmation bias thing. Because I've seen again, I could be confirmation bias as well, but all the stuff I've seen has shown that people who have gone through these therapies perform about the same or underperform people in the biological category. I saw a video recently where a biological female pool player walked out of the performance or what's when you disqualify yourself. I can't think of the term.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I can't think of what I'm talking about. But because their opponent was male to female, and people in the comments are like, how does being male make you a better pool player?
Yeah.
Like, what does that affect? But because of her opinion that
they withdrew, I guess.
Withdrew,
Okay.
yeah. She conceded because she was like, well, they're male, so they're gonna win. Because they're biologically male. And a bunch of people are like, how does that affect how you play?
It may also be a factor of like, if they lose, they don't want to be losing to a female too, right? Like, I mean, that might be a factor too, but I assume that maybe it's them just taking a moral, not really a moral, them taking a political stance.
People were saying that it felt like a political, moral thing, that they're just like, this person is trans, so therefore I refuse to compete against them because they shouldn't be in this competition.
Because in a way, by competing against them, they're condoning the action, I guess.
Even though people are saying, like, how does this impact? It's not like a physical sport. It's not, again, like,
weightlifting.
Yeah. It's a completely different situation that it shouldn't have an impact on anything, that you're just doing this to make a stance, basically.
Another topic we have here. Do you think trans people should be able to go into any bathroom that they would like?
Bathroom policies tend to only hurt females and female identifying people. So my question is, what do you think a trans man should go into? What bathroom? Because most of the time when people ask these questions, they're referring to trans women, and they're referring to trans women specifically because they think that trans women are men pretending to be women in order to go into female bathrooms. And while I'm sure that has happened in the past, most of what I see are trans men going into the female bathroom because they've been told to, and then having the cops called on them because they look like men. That this idea of bathroom policy does not help anyone. It just, I don't see any case that this is beneficial other than perverts who will be perverts no matter what. People are perverts when you are walking onto a train and they have their phone down trying to get pictures of under your skirt. I am not afraid of me going into a female bathroom and there being a trans woman in there. What I am afraid of is when I identified as male and looked male and had to go into a female bathroom.
Yeah.
Or when I went into a male bathroom, I'd be afraid that someone there would notice and have this, like, would be able to figure out that I was trans and I'm going to get hurt. The only time I'm ever afraid is of people who are, identifying me as trans. That's what I was afraid of.
So what about a an other bathroom, I guess you can call it then.
I mean, I don't see why that's not a common thing. I understand in some places, like, you know, restaurants or whatever, they just have that built and that's been the way it is. But what I really hate is when I go into a building and they have those single bathrooms. They're not multiple stalls. They're just the one bathroom. And then they have two of them, and one's a male and one's a female, and they're the same bathroom except one has a urinal in them. And it's, why didn't you just make one bathroom with a urinal in it?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, if I go into a bathroom and there's a urinal and I don't use it, I don't care.
Yeah. I think from my angle, being gay, like being forced to go into other male bathrooms has never really been an issue for me. I feel like it's more concerning for the other people that I'm in the bathroom with. Like, oh, is he checking me out? And I will tell you right now, a lot of you people do not have it going on, so don't fucking worry about it. But I kind of have no choice, right? Like, I mean, like, you're male and you present yourself as a very, you know, masculine male. I mean, like, you're going to go into the male bathroom, you know, but I don't really think about that aspect of it. It doesn't bother me, but I can certainly see how it could bother somebody if they were forced to go into a bathroom just based on their gender, and then they're forced into those situations where they could be misconstrued as, you know, looking at somebody sexually when really there's nothing going on there.
I would regularly, when I identified as male and I was going through therapy, I regularly just would not go to bathrooms. It didn't matter how much I had to go. I would rather risk a kidney infection or a bladder infection than go into a public bathroom, because I had to figure out, am I passing enough to go into the male bathroom, or am I looking too masculine to go in the female bathroom that I'm going to get attacked in either one of these bathrooms?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I feel like people don't think about, is like, they think about the idea that a male might attack a female, but they don't, and that's a threat. But the thing is, they're not confronting that. They're not confronting the fear that women have of men attacking them. Instead, they're putting it on, oh no, it's the trans women's fault. They're the ones we need to worry about, not the men who attack women on a day-to-day basis. We have to worry about the trans women who might actually be men posing as women in order to attack women.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, I fear going anywhere as someone who looks female, and I'm afraid of men. I'm not afraid of trans women.
All right, let's move on to the next question. These are very difficult questions. We're kind of just like blitzing through because of the comfortable comments.
Yeah,
there could be an entire
6 shots
episode.
deep.
Yeah, like, I'm like half out of it, and I'm like, you want me to fucking answer about like the politics of bathrooms? I'm going to Sheets to get a donut after this. I'm just glad
I'm going in the male restroom and eating
I used to work at Sheets and I had to use the male bathroom, and my God, man, I had to clean the male restrooms and go to the male restroom, and I was just like, please don't look at me.
I will say I used to work at Wendy's, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I trained the employee how to clean the restroom, and all I did is I didn't clean the urinal. I just like dumped the fucking bucket of soap into the urinal, and I'm like, I taught the new guys like, yeah, you don't have to actually stick your hand down there and clean it. I just fucking dump this bucket into the urinal, and that does enough clean job to clean it. And I come back later, and that person's teaching the next recruit to fucking just dump the bucket into the urinal.
Dude.
I'm just like.
So real quick, I don't want to go too off topic, but I had never been in a male restroom until I worked at Sheets, and so when they had to teach me like how to clean the restroom, I'm like, what the fuck's a urinal cake? What the hell are you on about?
Is it tasty?
But I couldn't ask because I was supposed to be a guy and who knew how urinals worked, and so I'm just like, yeah. Sure, of course, everyone knows what that is.
All right, next. What age should someone be before they trans? We talked about that a bit. So
You're not allowed to do most things until you're over 18.
yeah, we in that episode we did talk about that. At least we brought up the actual health regulations and you know all the stuff that people have to go through in order to legitimately transition.
It is not people like to make it like you just walk into an office and you get HRT and that's it. You're good to go. You get your boobs chopped off and you're done. It's like, no, you got to get multiple therapist notes, multiple doctor notes, and you don't get on any of that stuff till you're over 18. The most you can get when you're under 18 is hormone blockers, which are reversible. And as you can see, as someone who was on HRT, it's still reversible after 18 too.
All right, so last question we have here. Let's see if this is even a good enough one to go off of. Let's see. And does a person become trans the second they say they are?
A person is trans the day that they are born.
So I could see a large masculine cis man and he could tell me he is trans and that is valid.
Yes. Because you don't know that person's history, you don't know that person's background. My parents questioned me constantly that I was not trans but I liked dolls and I liked dresses. And now that means you can't be a guy. But then my sister, who is cis, she doesn't identify as trans. She's never identified as trans. She's never identified as a man. She grew up a tomboy. And so that was fine. Her liking, not liking dresses and liking action figures and all that, that was fine because she was a tomboy. Mm-hmm. But if I identified as a trans man, that wasn't allowed but I like the color pink. So that doesn't count. Then that's not how things work.
I think there's a bit more to flesh out from that, but I think that's a satisfying enough answer on that topic. I mean, on that note, I mean, I'm glad that you came back for another episode with us. If we wanted to do another episode, I'm sure there's lots of, topics we can kind of pull from. I mean, your unique case of, being gender fluid, that definitely aids to topic discussion and being able to talk reasonably without it being a yelling, screaming thing out in the streets.
We'll get plenty of angry comments that we can make an entire episode.
Good. Boost the engagement. Yes. Feed us your hate.
And I don't want to make people mad. I just want to talk to people.
I do. I want to make them mad.
I'll fight everyone.
I want all of you to be angry.
I genuinely do, because if we can't figure out shit like this, how are we gonna fucking get to space? With that, and for brevity, thank you, Alex, for coming back on. I really enjoyed having you here.
Follow me.
Yeah, follow Alex on Instagram. Any?
Yeah, I got Instagram. I got Twitter. I mean, I have Twitter too, but I have TikTok, but it's not Utsuro because they banned me. So it's Tusuro. It's just you just move the letters around. It's just literally there's the two letters.
We'll put the tags, the handles down in the description. You want to follow Alex on their profiles, feel free. I hope you guys join us for the next episode and that you enjoyed what we put out here today. If you let us know what you want to see us discuss specifically with Alex in the next episode, if you'd like to see Alex in another episode.
If you want me to make a cult, let me know. I could use the money.
No, cults are bad. Religions are good.
Let me know if you want me to start a religion with Penguin Publishing.
Or it could be a mythology, depending on how much you believe in it.
I believe in it. And I believe in Penguin Publishing.
All right, well, that's been Alex. We got Dave, co-host, and I've been Tim. And thanks for joining us on Shot Takes. Goodbye.